Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Real Talk. You are here with me, Tyrone, and Bathtime, and tonight we're going to be discussing Enter the Dragon, which for me is one of the best martial arts films of all time. How you doing, Bathtime? Are you good?
I'm very well, thank you, Cyrone. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I've really been looking forward to this one.
Oh, I haven't. I'm worried everyone's going to shout at me because um, I wasn't blown away by this film, to be honest. I'm not saying it's a bad film. I just thought with the reputation it has and the fact that people like you and Yabba rate it as one of their, favourite films ever, that I was in for a real treat. And I found myself very unsatisfied by the film, to be honest.
Okay, I'm really sad to hear that. I'm really sad to hear that because when I first when I first suggested it to you, I thought to myself, okay, you've never seen a Bruce Lee film. I'm going to tell you
Yeah.
about Enter the Dragon. And I thought your reaction would be, oh my god, why has it taken me so long to see this? I thought you were going to be raving about it. So the fact that you're saying something that I didn't expect is quite interesting. Um,
Well, maybe you can
first,
turn me around on it, to be honest. Like,
maybe.
I might not be understanding a lot of what's going on in this film.
Okay. So first of all, I've got like the cast list here in front of me. So obviously we've got Bruce Lee starring as Lee, John Saxon Roper, Jim Kelly as Williams, Shi Kien plays Han, got Anna Capri as Tanya, Bob Wall as O'Hara, Angela Mao as Bruce Lee's sister, Su Lin, Betty Chung plays Mei Ling, who's Arn's operative. We've got Jeffrey Weeks as Braithwaite, amongst the other characters that we'll talk later on in the show. Um, the first scene is quite an interesting one for me. It starts off in the Shaolin Temple. You get a sense of, mystique. You're wondering what's going to happen, and it's actually an opening fight sequence with Bruce Lee and his opponent, who happens to be Sammo Hung, who's been in a lot of martial arts stuff um, lately, things like martial law and the Ip Man franchise. What did you think about that opening sequence in the Shaolin Temple?
I thought it was quite interesting, to be honest. Like, I really enjoyed the first act
Okay.
of Enter the Dragon. So it's when I was watching it, like, as you know, we kind of have a rule that you're not allowed to look things up. But I suspect that it might be sort of like mirroring some kind of Chinese philosophy, because there was sort of like um, yellow, there was yellow and black and all these different colors. It was very ordered and it was very uniform and it was very honorable. And that later obviously sets a contrast to the absolute nonsense that goes on in Super Hans' tournament.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool, but it also gave me my first issue with this film, which is I don't find it that interesting when someone does a really quick martial arts move that is, I don't know, but I suspect it's perfect and technically excellent, and then it's sort of like it does like this sort of zoom cut to their face and holds it from like the low angle,
Mm.
and then Bruce Lee wiggles his eyes around. Like I'd much prefer to see a story in the fight. But in terms of what it's doing here, it's setting the scene of kind of honor, respect, tradition, and balance. And I
Mm.
think that that's all. I think that's all really cool. You get an idea that the monks are people who want to live in harmony with everything around them, and that Bruce Lee is the sort of epitome of that in how he fights: controlled, fast, fluid. Like, yeah. So I've got no issues with that, and I thought it was a really cool way to start a scene. To be honest, start a
Yeah,
film.
well, that's what I thought. I thought, wow, we're already, because normally his films would be like you'd get into a bit of a story, you'd find out a bit about the characters and whereabouts he is. Whereas this film, it literally jumps straight into the action. So that's what I really liked about it. Um, you're gonna hear me like talk about fight choreography a lot during this podcast because that's what I'm really impressed by. I think the reason why the film worked so well in terms of the fight scenes is because Bruce Lee was the one who was actually, you know, choreographing the fights, and that first initial fight scene I found quite entertaining because for me, when you're watching a Bruce Lee film, it's not like you're looking at people that have never done martial arts in their life. You're looking at people who know the art quite well, and I think that's why it works well.
What's it trying to do?
For me, I was watching the scene, and I think it's basically telling us that, you know, this guy has been training for a very, very long time, and he knows exactly what he's doing, and nobody can beat him. It's basically showing you, who he is at the beginning.
Not a great way to start a film, is it? To show a guy who's undefeatable as the protagonist.
I don't know. It's just, you have to understand it was his first time coming to mainstream American audiences. So, I mean, you want to kind of show yourself in the best light, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite cool, isn't it? So that's the first time, like, the Western world, as it would have seen Bruce Lee.
A lot of people would have watched this. I think the majority, yes, because I think a lot of people would have seen his films in Hong Kong who'd been over there, or maybe his films would have come to America later. But this is the first time mainstream audiences would have seen him for the very, very first time. And it was the first film where we actually see, you know, Bruce Lee uses normal voice, because most of the time it would actually have been dubbed with an English voice that wasn't his own. So people are actually getting the authentic Bruce Lee experience for the very,
well,
very
that
first
threw
time.
me off. That threw me off. I told you about this earlier. That threw me off in the first couple of scenes where Bruce Lee's speaking English and everyone else is dubbed. I thought that was a bit. I was a bit like, okay, is this what we're doing? But as I told you, these things don't bother me so much. I just think it's a shame that the actor, you don't get what the real actor is doing. You get someone else's interpretation of it. But like after the fight, there was a weird scene, to be honest, for me, that might not have understood, because obviously you get Confucius, or who his master is, or whatever, like Head Monk. And Head Monk is talking in riddles, no problems. One of the things he says will come back later in the film. You know, this is standard stuff. So I've got no problem with that. But the bit that's weird is him slapping the kid about, saying, "Never take your eyes off your opponent." And I remember thinking, this is something that's going to come back. Okay. I don't actually think it does come back at any point in the film. Like, it's such emphasis is put on it that you're thinking that maybe Bruce Lee, he's undefeatable in the ring or the octagon or whatever it's called, but maybe he's got a blind spot that's a problem, and he's actually got to learn this lesson that you can't take your eyes off the opponent, or he's going to teach it to someone else. But maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that this ever comes back in the film, this concept. Don't argue
maybe
about mirrors.
Maybe the thing is, it says don't take your eyes off your opponent, but it was quite difficult in that mirror scene to take your eyes off your opponent, because he didn't know which version he's looking at. So it kind of does come back in that end scene, but I know what you mean.
I don't think it does.
It's not very clear.
No, I don't think it does come back in that scene, because Confucius says to him, like, you have to destroy the image of your opponent before, and then they're easily defeated. And that's the bit that comes back. To the degree, there's a voiceover of it, like, to remind the audience as well as Bruce Lee that, you've got to use, to defeat super hands, you've got to go back to your sort of original training or something. It's very similar to Luke Skywalker when he's flying about and he hears Obi-Wan Kenobi say use the Force. It's a similar sort of technique. So once again, I don't have problems with things like that. I felt that him slapping the child about and not getting any payback for it was an extremely strange thing to do. And like a lot in Act One, I kind of think they really dropped the ball on this kind of stuff later on.
Do you think he came across as a bit harsh and a bit egotistical in that first scene?
Yes, but I assume that was the intent, because in film and story, above all, it's about transformation. It's about the transformation of the world and also of the character, right? That's why we have character arcs and things. So
Yeah.
when you see someone who's a bit of a dick at the start of a film, it never really bothers me, because the sort of implicit understanding you have, someone who consumes stories and things, is that you understand that this person is going to change during the film, and the idea being, in some ways, that you change with them. So I assumed at the start of the film, because like I'll get on to why when we talk about other aspects in Act One, but I assumed that he was too unbalanced. He's too
Okay.
much a monk. Do you know what I mean? Like
Okay.
that's what I thought. That's kind of what I thought was going at. But he's clearly being set up as an alpha in this opening scene, and after doing what I assume is world class karate, I'm not sure slapping a child about with no point to it is of any sort of like filmatic use. But should we say hello to anyone?
Yeah, I'm gonna go through the comments now. Just want to say big up Bilal, football movies and quizzes, and Bart, who's in the chat. Good evening, bath time, Darius, Tyrone, and Mr. T-side. Respect, Bart, respect.
Good evening, Bart.
Bruce Lee was very young when he passed. He was very versatile. He had the potential to be one of the best directors or screenwriters, actors ever. I agree with that 100%. And greetings to football movies and quizzes. Thanks, mate. By the way, yeah, that is Tully, because Bilal's confirmed that it is actually him. It's not another guy.
My apologies if you're not V. I thought you were, but you can be Tully from now on. And I hope all of you are doing very well. Last week we had to sort of like point out that there'd been a terrible like terror attack in Manchester, and I mean it's also important to point out that in Kettering and Essex there's been awful attacks against the British Muslim community, and like we, you know, obviously we condone these things, but like shout out the lads as well. It's a horrible time in the UK.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you, Bath Time. It's not nice to see people so divided and attacking each other. I think one good thing I've always liked about this country is that it's quite a diverse country, and we're quite good when it comes to coming together. So I hope we can actually have that again, like the unity that makes this country so great. I'm against all forms of discrimination, and
even to gingers.
Yeah, I love gingers.
Big up the gingers.
Big up Paul Scholes, man. He's one of the best gingers out there.
Big up Ginger Spice.
Yeah, Ginger Spice. Chris Evans, back in the day. and many, many more.
Yeah.
Simply Red. Oh, my days.
Nice one.
There was a line. So when Bruce Lee is talking to the young kid, he also says, what was it? It's keep your eye on the finger, otherwise you'll miss all the heavenly glory. What did you think he meant by that?
No idea.
Just another line that didn't. Neither did I.
Like,
to be honest.
Like, so one of the things, like, because we obviously do a little bit of pre-production on this beforehand. One of the things that I spoke to that we've spoken about is the use of allegory in this film, and allegory, right, is the idea that real life events map onto a film. So the most famous example is like Animal Farm and communism, or maybe like Vietnam and aliens with the colonial marines and stuff. This film is made in China, and I'm fairly sure that Super Hands is some kind of allegory for Chairman Mao. And I think a lot of the stuff that is said kind of goes over my head, certainly, because I don't, you know, I know about things like the 5-year plan and the Great Leap Forward, but I don't know much about it. And I mean, even in the next scene, Tyrone, we get the British guy, John Exposition, and A British guy in a Chinese film, I feel, has to have some kind of relationship with Hong Kong.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think he's some sort of representation of it. And so when Bruce Lee and Confucius are giving all this kind of like esoteric mysticism, it's just it's the same as like techno babble in a sci-fi film. I accept it's going to be in it, but I don't pay it too much attention.
It was a bit cool watching it when I was a bit younger. It kind of reminded me of like a James Bond film when you're introduced to Braithwaite,
Yeah.
who's obviously a British intelligence officer, and he's basically going over Bruce Lee about the mission, and he's talking about on the screen about O'Hara, and you're just seeing him getting struck with like,
Oh, is O'Hara John Beard?
yeah,
Yeah.
Bob Wall, aka Bob Wall, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not deliberately winding people up, but I just give
Yeah.
characters their own names in my head a lot of the time, and it's normally
Okay.
John plus something. Um, but yeah, so this threw me. I'm going to be honest. I was not
Okay.
expecting James Bond elements in this film, but
Okay.
I think it's quite cool because it is just an exposition film, and I think it works really nicely because we get this is head baddie Super Hands, this is his
Yeah.
henchman John Beard, this is Jane Spy who you got to meet up with, and this is the island. And I thought this is quite cool because we've
Yeah.
got the kind of outside world established. It was relatively like interesting. I think that there's some sort of allegorical meaning to this that I didn't get, but maybe that's not,
Okay.
maybe that's not important. And Bruce Lee just sat in a chair and didn't really do much. So I thought this was quite good, to be honest. It's like get the stuff everyone knows out of the way, straight away. It's like in Jurassic Park, you don't need 45 minutes of walking around a park looking at dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are in.
Or dinosaur eggs.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
Yeah.
you know that they're in the film. We don't like. So I thought this was quite cool, where they just vomited a bit of exposition, and let's get on with it. Enjoyed that bit.
Mm. I did like the bit though where the guys are just, they're testing out O'Hara's strength. They're battering him with the bats. He's having to use his forearm to break the, the
Oh,
wood.
his
I thought that was pretty
introduction.
cool. Yeah, I thought his introduction was quite cool. It shows him
Yeah,
as a strong, practitioner.
that's actually.
Again, a genuine black belt in karate, a former champion. So
Yeah, I think actually that's a really really good point. Is that it establishes what it's done in the first two scenes is it's actually established Super Hands and John Beard as legitimate threats, because one thing we forgot to point out is that Super Hands used to be part of this monastery, and
yeah, he's a former Shaolin monk.
yeah, and so from Jackie Chan's kind of his monk side, he's got like Super Hands is messing up there. He's like perverting what is pure and holy. So Jackie Chan's got to stop it. Sorry, not Jackie Chan. Bruce Lee has got to stop it.
Bruce Lee. Yeah.
And then we're going to move on to a slightly more personal story to him that's apart from apart from the Shaolin side. But in this bit, so we've got that implicit understanding that Super Hands is going to be good at karate because he's from the same place as Bruce Lee. And then, so when they show John Beard and he's doing, I don't want to be mean, but it looks like he's on Blue Peter, like chopping up like things. But at the time,
Yeah.
I'm sure this was wild. Like, I mean, they set something on fire and he chops it and stuff. And yeah, so I think that's a really good point. But he is a legitimate threat straight away. Cool. I'm on board so far.
Okay, so yeah, I did like that bit. One thing I noticed, especially in the scene where Bruce Lee is speaking to Braithwaite, I think for me this is the one Bruce Lee film where you don't get as much of his actual personality in the film, and I don't know if that was a deliberate thing because he just seems quite serious in this, as opposed to how he is in Way of the Dragon, where he wrote and directed everything. He was a lot more comical, showed a lot more of his personality in the film, and that's probably why I'd say Way of the Dragon is probably my favorite.
Why
but I
didn't we
still
watch
love
Way of
Enter
the
the Dragon.
Dragon?
I went for Enter the Dragon on this podcast because this was the main one that he did. This was the one that he made before he passed away, so I thought it was the best one to do.
Okay. Well, yeah, like Bruce Lee didn't really wow me, to be honest, in this
Okay.
because it's very, it's a very one note performance, which is there's nothing wrong with that, but he's he's just so uptight, to be honest.
Mm.
And I know that's kind of the character and stuff, but apart from the ninja stuff, it seems to be a very easy role to play as an actor.
Do you think he came across as quite uptight? Because
Yes.
one thing I remember watching when I was younger, because I actually had Enter the Dragon on VHS, and before you get to the film, there's a massive, well, not a massive, but there's like a 10-minute bit where all the people that worked with him are talking about the film and how it was the film. And apparently Bruce Lee was missing from set many, many times because he was so nervous about this. You know, it was the first time he was going to be on mainstream American audiences. It's the first time he's using his own voice. He was really, really nervous for this to actually become a real success. So I think when you're saying he's uptight, it just comes across on film because that's how
Yeah,
he
but
was genuinely.
his job is to be an actor. Like,
No, of course, yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I think that his performance is pretty much exactly what you would expect from the character. His English seems absolutely fine to me. Understood him. Like John Williams or whatever he's called. Like um, I found harder to understand at times than Bruce Lee. But
Jim Kelly.
yeah, like
Yeah.
but I think that was that you also got to remember like sound quality and things is nowhere near as good as it is now, and there were a few times where
Yeah.
the sound wasn't great. But no, I think that Bruce Lee was absolutely fine in his acting role. And I mean, I wasn't particularly taken by the fight scenes, but there's no way I can sit here and say that Bruce Lee isn't quite clearly a genius at martial arts. You know, it's too fast, if anything, Tyro.
You found the action a bit too quick.
His
Trying to get your head
movements, like
around. Okay.
it's like when we start talking about the fighting, I'll do it. Let's get through Act One before we get
Okay.
sidetracked.
Okay. So after we have the meeting with Braithwaite, we're going to the scenes where we get a glimpse of the characters' past. So we're going to be talking about Lee, Roper, and Williams. But first, we'll go with Lee. He speaks to his father, and his father describes him and his sister going through town when they get accosted by Han's men, and it's basically the story of what happens to his sister in that scene. I found that scene was quite good. I think it was shot quite well. I thought his sister played the role quite well. Angela Mao, she played Su Lin. I thought she was quite good in that role. Obviously a sad ending, but I thought the fight choreography was quite good. She wasn't in it for a long time, but I think she stamped her authority all over that film. Really, what do you think?
Yeah, I found so. Once again, I thought that this was very, very good, with the slight caveat of he just turns up to see his dad, and then we never like see it again. But I understand it's only like an hour and a half of the film, so they've got to get through they got to be pacey. But what I really liked about this is that it shows the two sides to Bruce Lee. You have the Shaolin side and you have the family side. So the Shaolin side, the enemy is Super Hands, but because like his sister, I know she kills herself, but it's basically John Beard who kills her, and so now he is like the family side. So the fight scene, by the way, the stunt doubles, the stuntmen do a lot of heavy lifting in this. Like they are whizzing about all over the place. But yeah, it's good. It's a chase, and there's also this slight element of deception from his father, which once again isn't. He says, "I'm going to tell you the true story now." Why? Why now? But
Yeah.
so what I'm thinking at this point, right, is that we've seen controlled Bruce Lee, and that the central conflict for him is going to be between his monk side and his family side, and that is where like his character arc is going to be and things. And I'm thinking, ooh, This is very, very interesting because
Mm.
because basically he's going to have to incorporate both of them together in order to become the best version of himself. And that means, that he's probably got to get a bit more passionate with Han and a bit more controlled with Roper to kind of sort it out. None of this actually happens, but I thought that this is great. I'm really on board. I'm enjoying myself.
Okay. And then after we come out of that section, when we speak about Bruce Lee's past, we then come to Roper. We see him on the golf course. We see his assistant that looks like she could have been a Bond girl back in the day.
Yeah,
very, very
with her
highly
golf
attractive.
phone.
Yeah, and then we get the goons who come around and say,
funny.
It's the dough, Roper. I gotta break something. You got it? I love that bit. That line always cracks me up.
I just love the fact that the 1930s Chicago mafia jumps out of a bush. Like,
yeah, it was so funny.
No problems with it. It's it's back in the day, stuff like that. It's obviously it's a bit camp and a bit silly now, but it does what it needs to do, which is that it establishes that Roper has a problem, which is that he's a gambling addict and he's in debt, and it gives a very good reason why he needs to go to the island. And so
very good reason.
Yeah, and it's entertaining as well because, he is Johnny Cage to me. Like, that's clearly who Johnny Cage is based on, and
I think so as well. Yeah, I think he's based on him 100%.
Yeah, and it's good. And then you see him with all his luggage on the back of a rickshaw, and you get a good sense of what the character is he's very concerned with the outside world.
I think he's concerned with what people's perceptions are of him.
That's what I mean.
I noticed. I'm looking at his luggage. He just spends willy nilly.
Yeah,
he's just living on credit, basically.
Yeah, and that's cool, right? Because it shows what his problem is, and so you've had the setup with Jack. I'm right. If I call him Jackie Chan, forgive me. All right, it's just one of the comments keeps writing Jackie Chan, and I can see it. But Bruce Lee is obviously kind of his opposite and stuff. So you're thinking, because of the setup with Bruce Lee, these two have got to learn off each other. And so I'm thinking, so I think that this is quite cool. He's obviously being portrayed as a goodie. He's someone we want to root for, and I'm still in. I'm thinking this is actually getting really set up for a really interesting film.
And then we come to the section where we see Williams. He's gone to his old dojo to speak to his master. And I thought that was quite cool because they're doing the punches. And it reminded me of my time when I was a kid doing karate, to be honest. I like that scene. And then he goes out, leaves his dojo behind, and then he's cornered by these two policemen who are basically asking him where he's going. They find out that he's got a plane ticket to Hawaii, and they're like, "You're not going to Hawaii." And then it's the first time we see Jim Kelly use his skills to defend himself. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So what I really liked about this is I think it's meant to be a mirror to Bruce Lee again, because he's got his monk family, as it were, all the black lads together, doing karate and things, very similar to the sort of Shaolin monks. And so straight off, I'm thinking
culture.
Well, it's not so much culture, is I'm thinking, once again, Williams is going to have to learn something from Bruce Lee, and he's going to bring it back to his people, and he's going to enrich his community that way. So cool. I really like the idea. Of that, is that all these guys are going to go, they're going to mingle with each other, they're going to learn something, and then they're going to go back to their lives, and they're going to share what they've learned from everyone else to improve their communities. That is, I'm 1,000,000% in this. And I also really like the fact, I found it very funny that he stole the police car, to be honest. I thought that was...
I just imagined, when that film first come out, I just imagined loads of people cheering in the cinema. I know for a fact they would have been cheering.
Do you think it would have been shocking like that, just to see the brother jump in, beat up two policemen and then steal their car?
It would have been shocking, but it also would have been like exhilarating. I think people would have loved that scene. I liked it. I thought it was funny.
I I did, but I did have slight issue with it. So the
What was
first
that
thing
then?
I'll tell you, but I'll tell you the bit I liked about it is that it's to me, Williams is shown to have a control problem, and that's the lesson that I think that he's meant to learn off Bruce Lee, and he's going to go and give that to like the other fighters. So in some
Okay.
ways, Bruce Lee is going to help with like end racism or something. Like, do you understand what I mean?
Okay.
Is he shouldn't be
Yeah.
fighting the police and getting in the car. Like that's his problem. Is that he's just in the moment, as it were, and not thinking about consequences. So I think that's a really good character flaw and one that I assume
Yeah.
we were going to see addressed in the film. The issue I have, right, is that I think he needed a scene that was a little bit like Bruce Lee's scene about why he's going to the tournament, because I
Okay.
think that makes it more important that he keeps the ticket, but also in some ways it's kind of difficult to see him returning from China because in theory he's
Mm,
going back into a lot of problems. So I was wondering how this is going to get resolved because at the time I was assuming that there's a happy ending for a lot of these characters. But yeah, like as I say, I think that's really cool that he is they're all kind of like reflections of each other, but their appetites are too strong in one direction. Like one cares
yeah.
too much about what other people think. One is too in control, and one is like just one is like a mix. Is like Williams is like the sort of in between for both of them.
Yeah.
And so, like as I say, I'm well into Act One. I think this could be a really interesting film now.
And then once we've kind of once we get through that bit, we get to the bit where they all arrive on the boat, and then we see that Roper and Williams know each other from the past. They actually embrace and find out that they're both going on this adventure together. I found that quite interesting. The fact that you've got two of the three main like protagonists actually have something in common. They actually know each other from the past. That was quite cool.
Yeah, like they should have travelled together. But I think that yeah, like I think that's quite good. I think it also is probably, I mean, like all American films are sort of riddled with race issues. But the fact that they
Yeah,
served in the same regiment or something and things like that, I
yeah,
think it's meant to be like that they're friends, and so what happens to each other will affect them. And we later kind of see their working relationship on the island with the betting scene. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, like so, I really like it. But I had my first issue in this scene, to be honest, because I was looking at all those boats and how there was a neighborhood of floating boats, and I was thinking, this is paradise to be. Like you can just leave in your house, the freedom, everything there. I was like, this is so cool. And then Williams goes, a ghetto's a ghetto. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's meant to be a ghetto. I thought this was really cool. Like, I really like the idea of it. It's like the opposite of working in a garage or a toll or
Mm,
a toll booth where you're stuck. There, you're free. You can just go on adventures.
yeah.
Um,
But you also see in the scene, you see how happy the kids are. The fact that
yeah,
they probably don't see it as a ghetto. They're like, wow, this is so cool. We're
yeah.
living on the
So
water.
yeah, but it was portrayed as like a cool place, and then he put this downer of a line in. Um, but yeah, really, really, really like. I'm loving the film up until this moment. I mean, it's got some sort of cheese issues and it's a bit dated, but the setup I think is really, really interesting. Like I'm fully on board, and then we meet Kanu, whatever he's called,
Parsons. So
Parsons.
that's what I like actually. Before Parsons starts misbehaving, you get a sense that all these martial artists who've all come together on this boat, they all kind of know each other and what each other have done, because Williams and Roper actually talk about Parsons, and they're like, he's putting up like quite a collection of wins together, so they kind of know
Mm-hmm.
people from other tournaments, I guess. The martial arts community. It shows you how small it is. Um, I found the betting scene quite good, where you see the two
We've
grasshoppers going at
missed.
it, and then you
Oh
see,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes.
yeah.
So I thought you were talking about when they're faking the bets. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh no, no, no.
Yeah, I thought that was good, but I didn't need it at that point.
Okay.
Because it's basically to show like how Roper, Johnny Cage,
Yeah.
is how out of control his appetites are. Like he just doesn't care and things like that. But I suppose what's quite good is that Bruce Lee notices it.
Yeah.
So it's a sort of valid scene. I just felt that I don't know. I felt there was a little bit too much going on the boat. I would have liked to have just got to the island because what happens on the boat, I don't think is that relevant to what goes on in the rest of the film.
Okay. So we talking about like the bullying where we see Parsons kicking a few of the guys over.
Yeah, because
And,
right.
He approaches Bruce Lee and then offers him out basically.
Yeah, now this would have been absolutely brilliant for Williams. Okay, because what does he say? He says something like, "You win fights by not fighting."
He calls it the art of fighting without fighting.
That's what Williams needs to learn, in my opinion, at this
Yeah.
point in the film.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been really cool if Williams was watching, and it's something that we later see him do. But we don't. It's just a scene to big up Bruce Lee, and
Yeah.
that what's really cool about it is that when he tricks him in the boat, it's clearly the actor having a very bad time in the boat. I don't think he's acting, and everyone's laughing at him. He's flying along, and he's trying to not get his nice shoes wet and stuff. And I found that amusing in a sort of you've been framed manner.
I'll explain what happened with that scene. So basically, what happened in the production, they were actually filming it, and what happened was they didn't realize that the boat had a hole in it. So they were panicking. They were panicking about it because they're like, "Oh my God, get him out, get him out." But he was screaming to the cameraman and saying, "No, no, 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 don't worry. I'm born in Australia. I know how to swim. Just get the shot." So that was the reason why that scene ended up like that. Because he got in the boat, it was leaking, and they didn't realize. They panicked, and he's telling them, "Nah, just get the shot. I know how to swim. If the boat goes over, I'll be able to swim. It's fine." So yeah,
maybe that's why it's quite cool, because it genuinely looks like he's in danger. But as I say, it's something I would have removed if I was editing the film because of what happens to Williams. Because Williams is like, to me at the time, he was the most interesting character at this point.
Out of all three of them.
Yeah, Johnny Cage is a bit one-dimensional at this point. Bruce Lee's no dimensions. He's just Bruce Lee, isn't it? But Williams, I think it's quite interesting that there's this established hierarchy with him and Roper. I think there's a clear problem he's got. He's also got, like, everyone's excited to go to the island because they can get something to bring home. But is he able to go home? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so at the moment, he's the guy that I like the most and I'm rooting for the most.
Okay, that's quite interesting. And then after we get past that boat scene, which I thought was a very funny scene, we end up at the island, and you find out that they've got this big henchman there, Bolo Young. He stood there more serious. Chunks.
Yeah.
And it's the first time we see Anna Capri as well in that scene. I thought that was quite cool. This bombshell.
Yeah, I mean, this scene, right, is very silly, but I have to say I really enjoyed the whole thing. So
yeah,
they get to the island, and we've already had from John exposition, like, there's no guns and there's no telephones on the island.
Yeah.
And
forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
Sorry, forgot to mention.
But you see them all training and things like that, and it's very clearly like a sort of it really reminded me of like North Korean propaganda films, like all unison, all that kind of stuff, and it's more like a military compound. And then when you go in, it's like what's it like? It's like Odysseus on Circe's island, where it's just proper hedonism. And once again, you get some quite cool characterization in this, because Bruce, he's not into carbs or fun, is he? And Roper obviously isn't at ease. I think Bruce Lee says that, like, and it shows all these shots of all these people over consuming and being relaxed and stuff. And I think it's quite a clever way of building tension.
Yeah.
So I like this, and obviously we like our 60s girls. What's her name? Jane Eyeshadow is what I called her.
Oh, who? Anna Capri.
Yeah,
She plays Tanya. Her name's Tanya in the
Tanya.
film. I don't think anyone ever calls her by name, but that's meant.
I
To be
think Jane Eyeshadow is a much better name for her. But that's really cool. No, I really like that introduction. Did you think it was kind of like temptation and all that sort of stuff? Like it's all these sort of earthly delights on offer for free.
Yeah, it just looks like. I think when Han comes in and he announces himself, you can tell he's someone who's like, he's the big I am. Do you know what I mean? He's overconsumed and he's offering a lot of temptation to these guys. And we see that towards the end of the scene where the women are throwing out the darts and whoever catches one gets that girl. One problem I had with the scene was it was way too coincidental for Bruce Lee to get the dart of the woman who is actually the agent for Braithwaite. I thought that was too predictable. Looking back.
Maybe. Like I know, I don't really care about plot holes and things like that. Like it's, she's meant to be a sort of super spy or something. She might have just like worked out that the guy who is sitting there observing and not participating is her best bet of getting a message through. But when Superhands comes in, did it, with all the girls and his hair and stuff, did it remind you of anyone?
Someone who doesn't look like him but is actually the same.
A very famous horror character is who it reminded me of.
Dracula?
Yes. Because
Oh.
he's got the hair,
Yeah.
but he's also got like the bride to Dracula, and he comes in, and what I think's so funny about this scene is everyone stops, including the sumo wrestlers, and when he leaves, it all starts up again, just like instantly. And I like touches like that, but I think it's quite good because he's just so weird, man. Like, and you understand that he is. I think when you're talking about temptation, and he's the one that gives temptation, that's who gives temptation? It's the devil, isn't it? Yeah. So I got that sense as well that this is like somewhat of a supernatural kind of threat, if you want, because we've had a bit of esotericism. We've had a bit of not supernatural stuff, but a bit of spiritual stuff. And Confucius, you in some ways could conflate with God or something like, good benevolent power and stuff. And now you've got his mirror, which is just this crazy guy who's giving sex and drugs and food to everyone. And even Roper, like Johnny Cage, like the most hedonistic character that we know so far in the film. Even, he's participating, but he's not in the moment. And I think it's a good introduction to a villain. So I'm still on board. I'm still enjoying myself at this point.
He also says to Jim Kelly in the scene, I think we're being fattened up for the kill.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on the referee. So there's certain lines that they say in the film where you're thinking, yeah.
And what do you fatten up for a kill?
A pig?
A sacrifice.
Oh yeah, a sacrifice.
And this is why I think he's Chairman Mao. I think that this. Yeah. I think there's a lot of stuff in there that we might not get because we're just two idiots from the UK. But I think there's probably some symbolism and allegory for Chinese communism in there. But yeah, like I think that this is all cool. He's got a super squad of prostitutes that like can chuck knives and things about, and I liked it.
And then we come into the scene where Bruce Lee meets what's her name in it?
Jane Spy.
Mei Ling.
Oh, okay.
He meets Mei Ling for the first time, and she explains what's been going on the island. I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, a bit of exposition.
Yeah.
And you assume at this stage, at least I did, love interest. Like, if you had to ask me for my prediction, I would say that she would be tied to a stake with it being set on fire as Bruce Lee battles Han at this point. That's kind of where I thought it was going, that she was in some ways going to represent a stand-in for his sister, and he was going to have to rescue her from John Beard. And so once again, we're sort of churning this setup stuff, and I'm enjoying it because I'm directing my own film in my head as I'm watching this, and there's lots of interesting things like that could happen. There's a lot of potential at this point. And then I quite enjoyed the rush hour scene, to be honest, with Williams, where he's like, "I'll have her."
Yeah.
Oh, it's very obvious, isn't it? But it was, like I quite like that. But this is the first kind of slip in Williams's character that I didn't quite like, because that should have been Roper to me.
Yeah, could have. Yeah, you're right. Could have been.
Do you know what I mean? And then Roper, he goes for head prostitute, like Jane Eyeshadow, and you're like, oh, is this going to be a love story? Because I'm not sure about this one, to be honest. She's like, you know, she's the madame of all these girls that have been addicted to drugs. Like, you know, she's complicit in it. She's Ghislaine Maxwell, basically. And I was like, oh, I wonder if there's going to be a bit of a problematic side to this film where I don't jive with it, if you know what I mean. But that went nowhere.
But we see from, obviously, when Bruce Lee's talking, obviously Mei Ling's basically telling him, you know, there's a lot of girls who just disappear. Bruce Lee's asking who, and, you know, they just get summoned to Hans at night time, and then they're never heard from or seen again.
Yes.
So that's when it goes a lot darker. You know, you get a sense of, you know, it's all about human trafficking, things like that, people getting sold off.
Yeah, it doesn't really get resolved, which I found a bit, I've got to say, which I found very disappointing, to be honest, because I had expectations of what the film was going to be doing, and this is where it goes off a cliff for me after this scene.
I'm just going to quickly run through some comments.
Yeah, sorry to bore you.
Yeah. Got football movies and quizzes. Martial arts movies inspired the hip hop breakdancing scene in New York. Bilal, his English was good because he was born in America, lived in Hong Kong, and resettled in Seattle in his early 20s. Yeah, he had to. In his early 20s, he was getting involved in a lot of street fighting in Hong Kong, and his dad gave him some money and said, "You're going to America because otherwise you could end up getting killed out here." He was just street fighting all of the time. He was a bit of a rough one, Bruce was. Big up to Rich. Evening all, not watched Enter the Dragon for a long, long time.
Oh, big up, Rich. Sorry, thank you for popping in, Rich.
Is this the one with the long fight scene with the guy with the Freddy glove at the end? Yeah, it is.
I'm sure that's allegorical as well.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I think that's got something to do with the Great Leap Forward, which is like where China moved from became industrialized, and that's why it's metal. And beforehand, it's like a tiger claw. And I think that's the 5-year plan of like their agriculture and stuff, which is why, like, this is why I don't like allegory, because he should just be Fat Dracula and not Chairman Mao, so I can understand it better, to be perfectly honest.
So once we get through those scenes where they're obviously introduced to the ladies at nighttime, we actually get stuck into the tournament. We see a montage of different fight scenes, different weapons. It's quite interesting.
It's dreadful, Taro.
I think the problem is, for me, it's like you just kind of want to get, you know, you want to see Bruce Lee fight straight away. That's the problem. So you're thinking, all right, well, let's get through all of this stuff.
No, that's not what I wanted to see. I'll tell you how you instantly improve this film.
Go on then.
What's John Chunks called again?
Bolo Young.
Later in the film, Bolo rips 5 men apart. Like, he breaks their backs, he kills them, all this stuff. It would have been fantastic to have established Bolo as an absolute nutcase, dangerous guy in the first scene. Tell
That's
me,
good.
that doesn't make, like, you need, because you want a bit more threat, because you know Bruce Lee's going to win, you know he's going to beat everyone up and stuff. But I would love to have seen Bolo, John Beard, and John Boat. Who's John Boat? The Australian guy. Parsons, right? I would love to have seen them all absolutely destroyed, like to be showcased as real, legitimate threats. But like Boat Boy, does he die straight away? Like he's out straight away.
He loses in a fight to Williams. He doesn't die, but he gets beaten by Williams quite comprehensively.
What a waste! What, like, it's a waste. John Beard is a waste as well as a villain, to be honest. But yeah, so I don't like how all of this is set up, to be honest. Well, I think here, now you're in the fighting part, we need to establish that these boys are big threats. And Big Chunks, Bolo, it would be much better if he killed someone here. And you're like, oh wow, this is like Goro from Mortal Kombat. He is the sort of immediate threat. But we get the sort of betting scene, which is fine. But I agree with you. I want a little bit more from the opening of this tournament. I want to see the favourites, like the World Cup. I want to see Brazil play.
We've got Yabba in the comments. He's saying, "Get me in now." I'm not sure how to invite him.
I can invite him.
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, I don't mind if you want to.
I'll send him the link that you said. Like, Yabba, you're not allowed to shout at me though. That's the first.
Yeah, no shout.
Right, can none of you be idiots and just join? Like, I've sent the link. I've sent it solely for Yabba. Okay.
Cool.
It's a shame because he's missed all the super praise that I've given to the film so far.
No, but you know what? I'll be honest with you. As much as I love the film, I think you made some good points. You know, you've got Bolo, you've got Bob Wall's character, Hohara. They could have been a part of the tournament. We could have seen a few people get defeated quite badly at the beginning to kind of establish.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but John Beard is one of the biggest wastes of a villain I've seen in since Black Panther when they killed Gollum off, Andy Serkis.
Because he's actually quite good. He's got good skills that he could have shown in this film.
Yeah, but there's no build-up. Yeah. Like, we know that
I know what you mean.
We know that there's this dickhead on the boat, right? And I kind of thought that this guy might be the anti-hero, and we actually might like him a little bit towards the end. Like, you know, he might help Roper out with something. He might turn out to sort of like to help Williams or whatever. And I thought that would be quite cool to have all the goodies on the same boat, and you kind of like you grow to like them. But I mean, am I right in thinking that John Beard and John Boat are out of the film in like the first 20 minutes on the island?
I think
John Beard dies later, doesn't he?
Yeah, he dies later. I think he dies after about maybe 45 minutes, maybe half hour.
Absolute bollocks.
Off the top of my head.
I mean, he's meant to represent like the killer of like Bruce Lee's sister. He's meant to be part of his internal conflict, and nothing. Absolutely nothing. What a waste.
One positive about that scene, though, I thought the fight scene was amazing. I thought I thought it was good. It was quite frustrating for O'Hara, obviously, but to see him getting frustrated, you know, obviously trying to kind of get his hands on Bruce Lee, he can't touch him. Basically, I thought that was good.
Yeah, what
I do understand.
What I liked,
I do understand.
Is he said, "You're doing that to a board or something."
Yeah,
and then
boards don't hit back.
Yeah, but basically he does the same thing where he doesn't hit back, and I thought that was an interesting way of trying to make the fight more interesting. But before I get into my criticisms of the fights, I want Big Yabba to turn up and shout at me. Are you coming? Is he here?
I thought he would have been in by now, but I can't see him.
I put the link in there. I mean, honestly. Actually, did the link show?
No, it didn't. 1 second.
Ah, the link didn't show. My bad. Do you want to just put it in chat?
All right, 1 second.
I'll put it in the private chat. If you copy that in, they should be able to come. But yeah, actually, whilst we're waiting for Princess Diana here to turn up, what do you lot in the comments think about the film? Has anyone got any issues with anything I've said so far, or things I don't understand?
Yeah, give us some questions, guys. Get involved in the comments. Like, tell us what you liked about the film. Tell us what you think could have been done better. We want to interact with you.
And I'd also just like to say, this isn't a forum to settle grudges and things like that. If any of you talk in a way that is impolite to other people, I'm very sorry, but you'll be banned. It's just behave yourselves.
Okay. Yeah, I've put that link in the the chat. So.
All right. So
yeah,
where are
if
we?
you see the link, just click onto it. We've just spoken. Where are we? We're basically still in that first act where we're seeing all the people fighting.
We're in Act 2, but yeah. So all right, I remember. Is it now time for Roper to do his sort of like I don't know, his weird kind of like his sort of like he's trying to win money, and Williams is involved in it.
1 second. Just gonna
get. Oh, look who it is! Just comes in laughing, isn't it?
Oh my! You know what? Big up to Tyrone. Big up Bathtime. Long time no see.
How you doing, my friend?
Great topic. It's my topic. I am a connoisseur of this film. It's one of my favorite films. One of the films I've watched from a child. It teaches you about life. I've told both my sons to watch it as well, and I'm really interested. I'm not going to cuss or anything. Everyone's got their own opinion, but very interesting discussion from what I've heard. I'm gutted I missed it from the start, but I'm here now, and I just want to listen and observe, and I'll give my take as well because I've got a lot to say about this movie.
Well,
okay.
What I would say, Yabba, is that we've done the first act, which is like everything up until they land on the island, and I loved it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic with what they were setting up. So just to quickly summarize for you, I liked how Bruce Lee has two families. He has the Shaolin side, and he has like his sister's side. And I think that it's a really interesting conflict for a character that has got to be brought together. I also really like that Williams reflects this in Bruce Lee, where he's got his brothers in America, who is also kind of like a Shaolin family, as it were, but he's got a problem with impulse control because of the way he fights the policeman.
Well, did you see the way they keep?
Yeah. Just wait, right? So on the boat, Bruce Lee has already said, I do the art of fighting without fighting.
Yeah.
Which is something that I think at this point in the film, I think that Bruce Lee is going to teach that to Williams, and Williams is going to take it back to his community as a sort of lesson. And what was the and also I think Roper.
Yeah. Roper.
That's Johnny Cage, yeah.
No, that's John Saxon.
Yeah, but no. Roper's different because Roper needs to like rein his appetites in.
Women betting.
Yeah, so what I think is at this point in the film, all three of them have to teach each other lessons. So Bruce Lee's got to be less controlled because of avenging his sister, right? And he's going to teach Williams the art of fighting without fighting, and Roper is going to learn more self-control from Bruce Lee. And I think that all these conflicts they have, and how they're all going to work together to kind of do it, I think is all really cool, and I'm 100% on board. But now we're on the island where I'm jumping off board.
Just as you guys are experts when it comes to film, but don't you think that's
fuck?
Well, Tyrone's in the game, so don't you think it's a good setup to build the characters? The way they built the characters with just little brief summaries, what's happened with Roper, his background, what's happened with Williams, what's happened with Bruce. That is a brilliant thing, and especially the fight scene with his sister and how his sister was killed, but she took her own life rather than take death from these guys who are trying to sort of attack her, you know. And obviously O'Hara was the main protagonist in that scene. But that was a great scene. It showed that she's got skills, she can fight, and obviously you missed out a bit about the assignment. Bruce has got an assignment. He's gone there and sort of, well, why not just go there with guns and just take them all out? But obviously there's an assignment. Bruce has been picked out to work with the government or secret organization to infiltrate Hang's island.
I wish you could turn up on time. Like, I wish you turned up on time. All of this, yes.
Okay.
We've spoken about all of this.
I think that
I agree.
And in movies, this is what's saying about great movie and great writing and great acting. It builds it up. And as I was listening before you come in, you have to put people over. You talk about Bolo. You give these monsters. You know, it's like Jaws.
Yeah,
Jaws is put over because you don't even see Jaws, but you think, my gosh, this thing is awful. What's going to happen? It's unbelievable. You know, how do you stop a machine like this? So with so many characters in this film, for them to pump out early on in the film, give you 3 characters, the guidelines, then you add that to the boat with Parsons and Art fighting without fighting, and see there's other fighters there, and then it builds up. It just builds up and gets better and better and better until it sort of peaks. To see, well, obviously with a tournament. So as a young kid, you're thinking, my God, who'd win out Williams and Roper? Who'd win out Bolo and Bruce? All these kind of. So you're setting this all up in your mind already. But Bathtime thinking, one of Bathtime not thinking about that. He's thinking about, will Bruce teach Williams how to calm down?
Yeah.
Or, you know, I mean, yeah. But it's really good insight. I really like that.
What do you think? Like, so you know, Big Chunks Bolo kills 5 security guards later on. How would you feel if that was brought into his introduction?
Well, it can't be
like sooner.
Well,
no, like a similar thing. No, not
what they did. So it's about building up characters, building up badasses. So they put over O'Hara at the beginning, because not only did you see O'Hara as the main guy, just, you know, everyone's fighting the sister and, you know, getting their ass worked. And he walks up and it's like the main guy even after he got cut, and it's like just strolled up all calm and everything else. And then they showed him with getting hit with the bang they showed there's O'Hara, he's the bodyguard. So they're saying he's the main bodyguard for this guy. He can kick ass. And you're thinking, this guy's a badass. He's up there. And then suddenly you're in the scene with I don't know, the thing with the guards came. Did it come before?
That's much later. Yeah.
The thing with the guards.
It's later on.
No. I'm saying if you're comparing O'Hara and Bolo, putting them over. The thing with the guards, when Bolo took out the guards, is when Bruce went out on a mission at night. Oh, it must have been so Williams had. So it was after that when Bruce beat up O'Hara. Then.
Yeah, it's afterwards.
Okay, all right, yeah. So it's about putting people over. Now you can't. O'Hara's already been put over as a badass for what he did without fighting, you know, without doing much, only doing the breaking boards in his arm and just being the leader of all these men and strolling up to the girl where she so thinks she took her own life. He's a badass. Bolo, if you didn't know, just by looking by his build, but he demonstrated that you have to have an action scene where he could show just how bad he is. So that sets the scene. Say, my gosh, people are thinking, can he beat Bruce? Can he beat?
That's why he should kill someone in his introduction in the way that he does with the bodyguards to establish him. So you're completely correct. Like John Beard, just by proximity, like
O'Hara.
Okay. Yeah.
O'Hara. Yeah. He's been set up as like there's 2 main villains at this point. There's Super Hands and there's John Beard, right? For different reasons, and they both Dracula, Super Hands.
Hands, yeah. And who's John Beard?
Who's John Beard, Tyrone?
O'Hara. He gives all these characters his own names in his head. That's what he's doing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If someone's in a film, all right. If someone's in a film with a beard, they're always going to be John Beard to me. Yeah. But so you've got Super Hands is he is the antagonist to the spiritual side of Bruce Lee and the Shaolin monks, and John Beard, and John Beard is the sort of like the vengeance one for his actual family and stuff like that. So and those two are paired together, so you know they're both threats. What I thought would have been a better way to do this is to have Bolo demonstrate what he does to the guards earlier. So not like you move everything, but you just put something similar where you break someone's back to instantly boost him to the level of not only might you lose, because you're saying who would win between these people, would he kill them? So when Roper, Johnny Cage fights Bolo, or when, let's say, Williams fights him, it's not about if they're winning or losing. It's about if he's going to survive this. That to me makes it far more interesting.
Can I counter that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I don't know what you think about this, Tyrone, but I think Bolo is put over because you can put someone over by just their presence alone. So when they're pulling up with the boat, who's standing there? Bolo, you know, and you're thinking, oh, who's that guy? You know, he looks interesting. And then by not fighting, by not showing demonstrating his strength and skill, that is putting him over rather than having him kill somebody. You know, he killed these guards who you know, were running away. They were fearful for their lives, you know, and he took some shots and just, you know, just played with them. But what he did for the first time in the movie, this is the first time you saw something brutal where he was an actual killer. That scene with the guards where he put him over everyone at that time, because he was actually breaking bones, stamping on them, crushing a guy with a cradle like that, carrying a guy out, crushing his bones somehow, and pulling someone's neck back. This is something like, wow, you could hear the bones breaking. You could hear the kung fu sounds and everything.
That's because they've killed. That's because they've killed off the secondary antagonist at this point in John Beard.
Had O'Hara been killed then?
Yes. And so
after that Bolo guard scene, that's when Williams was sent to Khan. Yeah, you're right. So it had been happening.
So
right.
But one thing I would ask you is that, like, what I will accept here is that in today's films, if I see a bloke who is jacked as anything, it's not out of the question, like an Avenger or The Rock or something. In the 70s, to have a build like that, if you're telling me, as you know, you're interested in that kind of thing, if you're telling me that is an extraordinary physique that is also quite clearly in contrast to Bruce Lee's really sort of lithe physique, if you're telling me that at the time it's very, very obvious that this guy is just bigger than anyone else, a bit like Tyrone, you remember your man in Indiana Jones, the boxer who got chopped up by the plane?
Oh, the German.
Yeah, you remember, like, he's clear, like he's clearly like massive. If you're telling me that at the time alone is enough to carry that this guy is someone to watch out for, I will accept that. I just like my version better.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So where are we now? Because we got sidetracked a bit, but
the gambling scene with Roper and Williams.
We see that fight scene with Roper where he's basically losing the first couple of rounds to kind of manipulate a position where he can win the bet. I thought that was quite a cool scene, actually. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, it's... Do you know my problem with it is I don't think you should have that scene and the Mantis scene in the same film. I think remove one of them, and clearly you want to remove the Mantis scene with the praying mantises on the boat, Yabba.
Yeah, but that's had nothing to do with Roper. That was betting.
It showed his addiction to betting and things like that. And
but Roper wasn't betting on the boat.
Yes, he was. Roper's John Beard. Roper is Johnny Cage.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So maybe, of course, he was.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And
so I think.
Yeah. That's right. Sorry. Yeah. Forgive me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So for me, I think that you take that scene out, the Mantis scene, and you leave this one in, and it works better because he's gambling in some ways with his life. Like the Mantis scene doesn't really matter because money just flows out of his hands and things. It's not like this is about him like being able to kind of stop the 1930s Chicago mob jumping out of bushes on golf courses.
Yeah.
So
that's the third scene about the
Yeah.
betting issue. So that shows you why he's there, because he needs the money. What you see with the golf course situation, and just going back to golf course situation, which is relevant to what we're going to get to.
Yeah, but
when
we've
the
already
guys
discussed
came to
it.
him, we've seen different styles of fighting. So Art fighting without fighting. We've seen Bruce fight. We've seen Ahara. We've seen all these things. But the way Roper fights, he will take you out quick. He don't mess around. So he might be a bit of a joker and all this kind of thing. But the way he took out those three guys is bam, 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 done. And the
All
same
right, I'll accept that. I didn't realize that from the
so
thing, and he does the same.
You're seeing he's a cold killer. He's not into this chop, chop, chop. Woohoo! He's just like, I'm going to hit you in the balls. I'm going to take you out quick. So you can see the fight. He took out the guys really quickly, and that was it. Like, and killer blows, knockout blows. And then it came to the scene with we're going on this thing, but he came to the betting on the boat where he was once again showing his bet. Then it came to when he was in the introduction thing, when they had the first when they thrown the darts around and caught with the apple, you know, when they serving pork heads and all that kind of thing. When they first arrived at the
very
island,
devilish, very pagan.
And he said to Bruce again, "Want to bet again?" You know, it's like, you know, just showing again his character. And
I don't think it needs it though.
No, he did, because
why?
Remember, this is a Golden Harvest production, and it was a crossover film, so you needed the American guy to have a bit of charisma, to have a bit of, you know, not make it so seriously. He brought down the level a bit to give it a bit more humor. It wasn't a dark, humorous, completely dark film about death and drugs and all this kind of thing. He made it a bit more fun, a bit more entertaining, and a bit of a laugh as well. So when he said "want to bet" and all these sort of jokes about him, you knew he had a fun side to him. And when he's smiling with Bruce, they had that sort of look together to say, we could be mates here, even though Bruce is completely against that betting, and that transgresses all his laws. He could still sort of understand and get on well with Roper. So that built a little relationship when they were in that festival hall initially, and they had a little interaction.
That's a separate point to the one I'm making, though, which is that I think that I agree with you that it's so annoying that you've missed the start of this, because you're just correct. We've honestly, I promise you, we've covered like everything that you've just spoken about. But one thing that you have mentioned that I really liked is the difference in the fighting styles, because I like big boxing super events. I don't know a lot about fighting, so I didn't actually notice that in the thing. But you don't need the scene with the praying mantis when you have this scene. And I think that the thing it really establishes is the relationship between Roper and Williams. And I think that's the cool part of it, that they trust each other. That it's because they're basically like Paul Newman.
They were in Narn together, weren't they?
Yeah. But in this, it's Robert Redford and Paul Newman in the scam. They're playing a con, and I wondered if Bruce Lee was going to get, if the kind of ending of the film was going to be some kind of long con that the three of them played when I was watching this scene. But I think it's a good scene. But as Tyrone said, I'd quite like to see the main man at this point.
It's a build-up, though. Once again, the guy he was fighting was the Chinese Oriental-looking guy, was a badass, and he actually took licks for the bet until it was time to take him out, and then suddenly, waste no time, bam! He's
not a badass, Yabba. It's quite like Roper has quite clearly sized him up as someone who was no threat to him.
Yeah, exactly. So my point is, when it was time to take him out and finish the fight, he didn't prolong it anymore. It's like bam. Over, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh!"
One punch.
The guy got haggled there and messed up because he dropped the odds. His stock went down when he was taking licks.
It's a very odd bit of casting, wasn't it?
Huh?
Because it's an odd bit of casting.
What was the odd casting?
The guy who's doing the bet, like he's in his 70s or something, and it's like this old wise man. What's he doing there? Like I remember when we saw him, thinking. I felt because the other thing is I really wanted a super old guy in it to fight. I thought that would have been really cool, like some 17-year-old. Like that would have been wicked. But yeah, like I think that's all right. I can't remember what the next thing that happens though after this.
Well,
Is it
after
the
that,
break-in?
I think after this, it's Bruce Lee goes out at night for the first time to kind of establish what's going on.
But before he does that,
William
he has to
killed.
get Mei Ling, because they get introduced to all
Mei
the
Ling,
working girls, didn't they? So obviously that's when William says, "I have you and you and you. Forgive me," you know.
Yeah.
And then Roper gets with the girl he's already had eyes with, you know, the Caucasian woman, and so he says,
Day Nine Shadow.
Yeah. Said, she said, "I've already." It's a wicked line he dropped when she said, "There was nothing you like here." And he said something like, "I've already got my eyes on something," and she's like, "Oh, why?"
Bruce Lee says
and she
it.
said,
No.
"Wise decision." She said, "Wise
Johnny
decision."
Cage says it. We've already done this. Like, yeah,
Alright.
it's like a bloody Quentin Tarantino film. It's come in. We've gone
No,
back
but
to the beginning.
it's the lines, it's the delivery. John Saxon's a good actor, and he upped the level of the film for Hollywood's sake as well. So that was a good line. It showed again he got the girl just like that with a nice line. He's got the lyrics. He's got everything. He's such a smooth guy. So and he kicks ass as well. So William's got his women, enough of them. Bruce Lee asked for Mei Ling, obviously because she's the agent, and then obviously John Roper ended up with the main woman, the Wayne whorehouse woman, or whatever.
Yeah, the madame.
What do you call her? What do you call them? The main
Madame.
Madame. Yeah, of course.
Madame,
Yeah.
Tyron acted like he didn't know.
Yeah.
Darius got that straight away.
Yeah.
We've all got
no
a pass, lads. Look at me. I was a great working girl when I was younger. But right. Yeah, and then we get the break-in scene in it, which basically leads to the death of Williams, which is very unfortunate. Why he's out at night when it's a bit? I thought it was a bit weird that he picked 5 girls and then we just see him on a park bench. But I don't mind stuff like that.
Maybe he just finished with them and he got outside to get some fresh air. Maybe I'm the man. I've just finished with all these girls. They're sleeping, and I'm just like, right. Let me take my probe and go and shadow box in the garden.
Yeah, no, I just found it funny.
Yeah, the woman does say to him though. She says to him in the scene, "Look, it's not allowed. You have to stay in."
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, I'm gonna go." He just doesn't listen. He doesn't care about the consequences of breaking the rules. So,
but that was a good line there, wasn't it, Tyron? Because that shows you she's obviously fed back to Han and saying, "Well, he was outside. We told him not to go outside, but he did."
Yeah. And he goes out and he actually spots Bruce Lee in the shadows, just climbing around. He calls him a human fly.
Yeah. Doesn't narc on him either.
Yeah, doesn't grass him up.
Important part of his character.
But the actual what Bruce did, it showed, because obviously we still haven't seen Bruce in his full skill set. So to do that ninja move, he jumped up in a tree, he took out guys in stealth, stealth mode with bam, and just real devastating moves. And then once again, it's putting Bruce over, and he's saying, there's levels to this guy. He's actually badder than we thought. The way he was able, in the snake scene the snake was next time, wasn't it?
It's much later.
Was it the dog? Do we see the dog? Do we see the dog in that first?
You're right.
We see the dog, don't we? We see the German Shepherd.
That's right. Yeah.
That almost catches him. Yeah. So
Cerberus, isn't it? As he descends to the underworld, he's chased by a dog. So
after that scene is when Ahara steps up and he has to fight Bruce.
Is that it, or is it where we see Bolo take out the guys because they couldn't do their job properly?
No, that's later. O'Hara dies first.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And all right, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Bruce has gone snuck around. The following day for morning thing, the fight was to fight Bruce with. Did Bruce have to fight? Because he said, "You're not. Why are you not in uniform?" And Bruce turned and said, "Outside." O'Hara came to the thing, said, "We're starting the day," and he said, "Outside." And then the guy tried to say to Bruce, "Why are you not in uniform?" And Bruce, this is what I'm saying about Bruce being, without even speaking, he said, without fighting, without even speaking, he just looked at the guy up and down until the guy trembled and walked away. Didn't want to address him. So that is great to me. That's great acting without having to speak or say anything. Just the look alone would, put the fear of God into him, say, Don't even try that. So that's what I love about that, man. It's like the old westerns where they have the close-ups of the eyes and the face off, and you can get the emotion of what's going on. That was a great scene.
He's a great actor, Bruce. He does a lot of the acting with his eyes. He doesn't always have to say anything. He just uses his facial expressions.
I wasn't a fan of it. No, I might be influenced by Eddie Murphy, to be perfectly honest here, because Eddie Murphy said that, like, in Beverly Hills Cop, all he was doing was an impression of Bruce Lee, like, you know, with the eyes going everywhere. But this stylistic choice of showing a punch that I can't see because it's too fast, and then zooming in and him wiggling his eyes, I know it's technical excellence, Yabba. That's no problems with it. But I don't think the fight tells a story in the same way that, I don't know, like a lightsaber battle does or something. A lot of the time, I don't get the impression that Bruce Lee is representing something in his fights, which is his Shaolin style or his Shaolin monk thing. It just seems to be, I can do this. I can do nunchucks. I can do this. I can do that. And it's like, it feels like a sort of show reel more than a fight that tells a story a lot of the time to me. That's my disappointment with the fighting. But I understand that this is a wildly popular film for a reason, and I just might not get it.
Okay.
Isn't it good, Tyrone, to get O'Hara, who's already been put over at this point, to have him fight Bruce early?
I think so. This is the fight we've all been waiting for, because obviously we know quite early on in the film that O'Hara is the reason that Bruce Lee's sister is now dead. So this is the fight I've been looking forward to, even watching it as a kid. And when it finally comes up to it and they're about to line up, yeah, Bruce Lee just deals with him in a matter of minutes. So I thought the fight choreography for this scene was amazing as well.
Yeah.
It's dreadful. This whole thing is dreadful at this point. I'll tell you why. Because we know he's killed his sister. Well, he didn't, but he's the cause of the sister's death.
Yeah.
Tell me this, right? When Bruce Lee goes looking for Mei Ling in, like, the sort of the secret James Bond compound under the hatch, if he'd met Mei Ling and you got a bit more insight into the guilt that Bruce Lee had carried about his sister dying or something like that, it would have meant more. Because this whole fight and this thing that we've been building up to, there hasn't actually been a lot of build up. We've had that flashback scene, and that's it. We don't know how it affected Bruce Lee. We don't know how it affected his father. We don't know if that was on the boat. We don't know if that's their first meeting ever. I wanted to see a conflict where what would have been really cool, right, is if he had the opportunity, if Bruce Lee has the opportunity to get to the telephone. It's brilliant. She's called email. She's called mailing. I found that funny. It's a phone. But get just my version, right?
Good.
What if Bruce Lee had the opportunity to complete his mission there, but John Beard gets away, and there's that conflict in him at that moment, and then he decides to fight John Beard? I think all of that is much more interesting, because I completely disagree with you. I don't think there's a build-up to this fight. I was like, I can't believe that this is happening now, like 45 minutes into the film.
Well, the thing is, you have to remember, the fight was not, these fights are, you win or lose, you don't kill, it's not to the death. It's a tournament. So you just have to beat the guy and move on to the next stage, or whatever it was. So when O'Hara's stepping up, and first of all, why would O'Hara, the bodyguard, be in the tournament? You understand what I'm saying? That's what I didn't understand.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be better if it was outside of the tournament?
Yeah, I get that. I just don't understand why he would be in the tournament fighting when it's just, because he's one of Han's guys.
He's Han's guy, and it makes much more sense to me, right, to have Han be the final boss of the tournament because of what Han represents, which is a corruption of the monk style, and for Roper to actually be killed by by Bruce Lee outside of it.
Did you know that Williams was supposed to be Roper's role and the fight to the end?
I explained that to him.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to talk about my massive disappointment with Williams's character later, because Williams, there's such. I think I know what originally might have been planned for Williams, and what they do to him is it's just so frustrating. It's such a waste, and
it's my only problem with the film. It's my only problem with the film, the fact that because I wanted Williams to be the character fighting with Bruce Lee. At the
well, you're
end.
named after him.
Yeah.
But we have actually made a mistake.
But saying that, I know. Look, they did put Williams over, and it does leave the question mark about how Williams would have fared if he wouldn't have died. You know, because he was a badass. We have to give it to him. He took people out. And it's just it was just unfortunate because he didn't know about Han's hand. We haven't got to that yet. But obviously, with the fight scene with Han, I think they've done it in a way to say, okay, you're putting Han over, but you also put Williams over as well. Because
you don't even see him die. Like, he dies off screen.
Yeah, but you don't want to show that.
Yeah. That's not what you get. To a character like that, that's not what you do. But we have made a mistake. So I just checked on Wikipedia. Bolo has killed the security guards before.
I thought I was right.
Yeah, because all right. So
before John Beard fights Bruce Lee, we've seen that scene, which I have to say I did find it a little bit shocking, as you alluded to, where at this point there's the stakes, there's tension, but you're not thinking about like mortal consequences at this stage, and very quickly there's a series of shocking deaths. But I really like Bolo killing them all. I just would have moved that earlier to the scene. But I think it also plays into the fact that Super Hands, who, by the way, Yabba, I think is stand-in for Chairman Mao. I do, but it shows his complete contempt for like human life, and it gives you maybe a little bit more insight into why he's this kind of devil-like figure to the Shaolin monks. He's perverted their style of things. So I thought that's really good storytelling. That you know that they don't care about all these people. They're drugging girls. Jane Eyeshadow's leading them about. They're like breaking security guards up. I think I like that bit. I was a little bit back on board because now we've got a kind of a super villain, and I assumed he was going to fight Williams at this point. That was going to be, you know, like, or Roper to get Jane Eyeshadow off the island. He was going to have to go through. He was going to have to go through big chunks.
Yeah,
all much better stories than the one we got.
Not really.
Yes, far better.
I disagree, but
well, you're wrong.
Yeah, we're not. All right, so where are we at?
So yeah, we've basically just gone past the bit. Obviously, Bolo has basically destroyed all the guards, and then the guy who was intimidated by Bruce Lee earlier on, he asks Bruce, "Are you ready, Mr. Lee? Are you ready?" And he just nods his head really casually, and he stands up, and then you see his face completely change because he realizes it's O'Hara coming towards him. Yeah, and they're just getting ready to fight. And I like the shot just before they put their hands together to fight. You just see the little flashback. That's it.
Yeah.
That was a good shot. And then they start fighting.
So just to remember, so when you think about it, how would Bruce know that O'Hara was part of it? Well, for one, he's got the scar, and who gave him the scar? It was the
his
Bruce's
father,
uncle or whatever.
The
slice actually did the slice. So he would be able to relay that story to Bruce to say that guy's got a scar. And when he was getting the training update, and they were talking about this the bodyguard, the O'Hara, he must have realized, that's the guy with scar. So wow, to actually be facing off with him now, and they're doing the little thing together like that, which we didn't see with other fights. It's like there's some kind of Bruce has already got his presence, you know, and O'Hara's got his presence. So it's like this is massive. This is a great moment in the film where you're thinking, what's going to happen next? This guy's a badass. Bruce, you know, we know, you know, he's bad, but how's this going to go down? And wow, what a scene.
Did you like the bit where O'Hara, he has the board and he smashes it in Bruce Lee's face? Bruce Lee's got no expression. Boards don't hit back. He says just boards don't hit back.
Well, this is the thing about the movie, Tyra. That's another example of why this movie's top drawer, because at the beginning of the movie, they talked about illusions. And this is a thing about life. And if you know how I think about the devil or the evil forces hide behind illusions. You know, create illusions to hide behind. And that's what the master, Charlotte Master, was explaining to Bruce in just an example about life and fighting. You know, when there was a scene with the, you know, talking to the boy who slapped him a few times. Do not focus on the thing. So there's all these sort of philosophies and all these sort of great things coming through. So, and obviously art fighting without fighting. Then we get to the fight scene with O'Hara, and he's got the board. And because obviously he's a physical presence and he's doing all these demonstrations, breaking boards in his arm and all that. So he does this as an intimidation factor. And, you know, it would be intimidating, but Bruce is not intimidated. And he comes out with a great line, one of the best lines of the movie.
Yeah. And then what did you think about how the fight was? Did you think it was a bit too one-sided, or did you think it should have gone that way?
The thing is, you don't want to see Bruce get hit, as in hurt, or I know we've seen him. We talk about it later. We've seen him show a bit of vulnerability with his fighting instinct, but he showed speed. First of all, it's like the anger, the rage. You're backing him because you're thinking this guy killed your thing. This is your opportunity to get him back. So you're backing him. You know. So he showed him speed. Bam. 2 times, 3 times, and then when he went for the leg, which shows this is a bad mind character who's willing to cheat. That's when he done the flip and kicked him, and that was like wow, and everyone was like, oh my god. And then he's enraged, isn't he? He's like, wait, this guy's faster than me. He's I tried to do a low dirty move on him. He got away with it and made me look stupid. And my reputation in front of all these guards is like I'm the baddest guy here, one of them. And suddenly everyone's like, wow, and that's when he just loses his head and gets enraged. And Bruce, all this time now, is playing with him, and then he starts getting on his toes, and then every time he attacks, he's able to counter and kick him and just puts him in his place. So I don't think it was. I think it was realistic because you're putting Bruce over with a guy that you've already put over, and just to say Bruce is the badass, you know. That's what I'm saying. So without Bruce getting hit or touched or anyway, and the way he finished him as well, it was a bit shocking. But we saw Bolo crack bones just minutes before. So it was an amazing fight scene.
But it doesn't work for me.
You know, that final kick, it was quite crazy as well. He does that final kick. And what I didn't realize until recently was Bob Wall had actually broken a couple of his ribs when Bruce Lee kicked him. He had to apologize to him because, he just hit him with so much force. Yeah, he literally broken a couple of his ribs during that.
Who, Bruce Lee?
Yeah, he
doesn't touch him in the fight. Has he done that?
No. That last kick, the very, very last kick when he kicks him into the group of people when he's got the when he smashes the bottles. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, his ribs definitely got broken after that. Because what do you think he jumped on? Do you think he jumped on his ribs to kill him?
No, it was just that last kick because obviously he kicks him in the torso. That last kick, and it just
I think so, Yabba. I think it is a reflection of how his sister died. Because she does seppuku in her stomach, and she stabs herself in her stomach. So for symmetry's sake, I think he breaks his ribs and it goes through his heart.
How realistic is that? So go back to the Bola deaths that we've seen with the guards and the death with O'Hara. In your mind, do you think that's realistic?
It doesn't matter to me. It's a film.
What do you think, Tyrone? I think so realistic. Like Bolo's done something with someone's neck crack. He stamped on someone in their ribs or something. You hear the bones cracking. And the other guy was a bit unrealistic. He crushed his bones like that. But then it's showing how powerful he is. But when Bruce done it, it's like with Superman. Superman's like the biggest hero in DC. But he doesn't kill. He doesn't kill people. So Bruce has gone over the edge here. And was it? Do you think?
Yeah, but no, I don't think he did. The thing, what people don't realize when they're watching it, Bruce Lee actually walks away and bows because he's going to walk away. He's already beaten him. Yeah. It's O'Hara who decides to break the rules, smash the bottles, and then Bruce Lee looks at him and thinks, "All right, let's do this."
Yeah, another reason why I didn't like it. I honestly think, right, that this fight should be about his sister, and it shouldn't be like, as Yabba said, like, we know Bruce Lee is the man. We know he's good at all this kind of stuff. He's too in control. There's no real threat to it and stuff. And the interesting thing is he does decide to kill him, but it's only because we're kind of told why. We don't see that during the fight. We don't see that decision or anything. And we don't even know if he kills him because he disrespects the rules or if because of what happened to his sister. What do you...
He did kill him because the guy came over, checked him, went like that to O'Hara.
No, that's not the point I'm making. The point, it's why he kills him. Does he kill him because he breaks the rules? Because at that point... No, yeah, but at that point, he bows. So he's going to let him go. and then he breaks the rules and he kills him. Like, what's that tell you about the character? What's going on there? It just seems it just there's not enough explanation for it
Kill
to
or
make
be killed.
sense.
The guy was coming
Well,
to him to
yeah.
stab him and wet him up.
Well, Han says at the end, O'Hara's treachery has disgraced us.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
he basically says that he
Perfect.
explains, he's broken the rules.
Perfect. That's exactly it.
That's not perfect.
The film covers all your answers.
No, it doesn't.
Answers all your questions there.
It doesn't.
That
That's
line.
Han's.
It
That's
really did.
Han's.
Thank you,
That
Tyrone.
is Han, who Yabba is essentially the devil in this film. That is his interpretation of what has happened.
So where was the treachery that O'Hara performed? What was Han talking about there?
Well, that's I'm saying that it is an irrelevant point because that is his point of view. My issue is what Bruce Lee is thinking, because Bruce Lee is going to let him live until he breaks the rules. Yeah. He's going to let his sister's killer live until he breaks the rules, and I find that deeply unsatisfying. The rules matter more to him, family.
Yeah, but it's a tournament. You're not there to kill. He humiliated him. And that was enough. And I think that was enough to say, right, I'm going to bait you out where you're going to do something stupid.
That's enough for the killer of his sister.
Sorry, say it again?
That's enough for the killer of his sister.
Well, he's on an assignment, isn't he? He can't reveal that, oh, my God, you killed my sister, so I'm going to kill you now. Because no one's supposed to know that. That's the whole point. No one's supposed to know that he's undercover. So no one's supposed to know that he's there for a mission, and he's got some personal vendetta against O'Hara.
Which would be the perfect cover.
All he knows is O'Hara gave him an opportunity to actually kill him for real.
Wouldn't it be much more interesting if his cover story was that he was going to the island to avenge his sister? That is something that everyone can understand. You've got to see that there's an issue with this, because all the reasons you're giving me suggest that he cares less about his sister than he does about doing a mission for John Exposition, the British guy, and for like the Shaolin things.
You have to remember that before he went to the island, he went to the grave of
That's
his
what I was going to mention. That.
Okay, yeah, go on.
No, you can explain it if you want. I don't mind.
Oh, well, we're on the same page, though. I mean,
so
you're saying he's lacking emotion towards the death of his family or his sister, but he paid homage to his dad. I think it was his teacher. He went to the grave for.
No, it was his mum. It was his mum's grave and his sister's grave. He went to both.
Well, there you go. Yeah. There you go. So he's paid homage to them and say, as if to say, "I'm doing it for you."
What do you think the point I'm trying to make is?
But you know what, Darius, he says to his mother, "You're not going to agree with what I'm going to do." So obviously, when we come to the fight with O'Hara later, he walks away because he's trying to do what his mum would want. His mum wouldn't want him to murder this guy, despite what he's done. But he turns around and ends up doing it anyway because he's thinking, I've tried to do the right thing by my mum, but I can't do it now because you just decided to change things. You decided.
Same with in Big Boss. The same thing applied in the Big Boss with Bruce. He didn't want to do anything until he got his thing ripped.
Different film, not relevant.
No, but it's the same concept where you've got rules. You've got to keep in mode until someone takes you away from that. Where O'Hara gets the bottles out and he's threatened with his life. Now shit changes. Now playtime's over.
Right. What is more? Let me try it this way. What is more important to Bruce Lee in this moment? Is it the rules or is it his sister?
I think self-preservation. He's got a mission. He's on his own. He has. Look, that's why he said, "Why don't you just go in there with guns?" Because then it wouldn't even be a conversation or trying to play a character or being part of the tournament. It wouldn't have to go through all of that. So the point is what the most important thing is to complete the mission and self-preservation. Because as he saw with the guards, there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide in this island.
I disagree entirely with that reading. I'll ask you the question again. What is
I feel
more
like
important?
I'm on the
What is more important to him? Sorry, Yabba. Objection overruled.
Yeah.
What is more important to him in this moment, the rules or family?
I think the whole fight scene with O'Hara, when they started off and he saw it facing him, because he had the flashback, like Tyrone said earlier, just before they're about to fight, about him killing his sister, stabbing herself. That shows you, the film's telling you that was important to Bruce at this time. It was time for vengeance.
Yeah, I agree.
So you think it's about vengeance?
At that time, with that fight with O'Hara, who he's identified as the person who's responsible for his sister's death. and we had the flashback just before the fight to tell you that was the case. I think that was, yeah.
Cool. What causes him to change his mind or lose control at this point?
Tyrone, I think we agree on this, but what you said?
When he just decides to smash the glass.
The code of conduct is gone.
Yeah. And because it was a broken piece of glass that his sister ended up dying with, and he's thinking, "I'm not going to die."
I didn't think of that one. I did think of that one. Yeah, true.
Cool.
So, right. Oh his sister's been killed by a piece of glass.
Wow.
So, do you think he's going to want it to happen to him again? He's
basically telling. He's telling O'Hara. Wow.
He's basically telling O'Hara, history's not going to repeat itself twice. You've taken my sister.
Shit. Slam dunk. That's really good. I never thought of that one. It's true. It's the same thing. So, this is good writing. This is great writing.
I believe it is.
So would you say that these two things are in conflict with each other then?
Sorry, what two things? Sorry, Darius.
The idea of self-preservation / his family with like his duties as a monk, like, and respect and honor and etiquette and all that.
100%, because after he beats him, he tries to walk away, and I think obviously the broken piece of glass is what it flips him over the edge. Simple as that. It shows his human side. It shows his human side away from being a monk.
But they're in conflict with each other.
Yeah,
correct?
I agree. Yeah.
Are they ever resolved? Is that conflict inside him ever resolved
in the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Where?
Well, do we want to go that far towards?
Yeah, for this instance,
it's a trade-off, isn't it? It's about, with all the philosophy that he holds and all the code of conduct he has, he's in a situation where he has to go outside of that to survive. So the self-preservation issue is about, you can do that in normal life, but you're in a situation now to survive. You have to go beyond that, and you have to sort of, take people out and kill people. So the first bloods, like I say, the first blood that he's done, the first time he's killed someone, from then it's game on, because he now is in kill mode where he has to take people out to survive, because there's 100 people there against him. If they rushed him,
all right, I can make your argument better for you here, which is that if he's in kill mode and he's now broken all the rules, the only way that this kind of conflict is resolved is in his fight with Super Hands. What does he do to beat Super Hands?
He uses the advice that was given to him that we had at the start of the movie to help him to kill him, about everything's an illusion. So you have to smash the illusion to thing, which he does with the glass. So that was a great comeback to get through that scene and get through that fight. Which was
what it's doing.
He was at a disadvantage as soon as
no. Yeah, but what he's doing at this moment is he's resolving the conflict of going too far by returning to his training and that aspect of the Shaolin side of himself. I will accept, if that is what you're both telling me, that from this moment he's gone too far, which is why he's like throwing snakes at people and stuff like that. I will bump this film up a bit, because we do see him resolve that conflict by remembering what Confucius told him, and he returns. He kind of like resolves both of them. I think that's a good point. Well made, boys. You're welcome.
All right, thank you.
Good question. Good, yeah. It's good to be challenged on this, because the revelation about O'Hara smashing the bottles, I never, and I love this film, I never considered, it's still, because everything, it makes it feel even better for me. I had it up here already, but things like that make you think, oh my God, they really put some thought into that to show. O'Hara could have, like, I don't know, got out a sword or something, the two glasses is like, wow, that really makes sense after what happened to his with the window pane, so yeah, mad. That's mad.
And then so we come away from that after Bruce Lee's done that, and then Anna Capri goes to Williams and says, Han wants you in his study as soon as possible. And then we come to the scene where he's with Han, they're having a conversation, and Jim Kelly basically turns around and says, I want to leave your island because you're accusing me of something I haven't done. And he's like, all right, who else was with you outside? And then we see again, he's not going to snitch on Bruce. He's not going to say anything.
I mean, that whole scene, as soon as he walks into Han, You know, the whole scene, the interaction between the two of them is absolutely brilliant. It's one of the best dialogues between two people.
Why Yabba?
Because you got, remember, this is a blaxploitation movies at the time. So first time you're seeing someone like Jim Kelly on big screen, and for Japanese or Chinese people as well, seeing a character like that. And if you couldn't have more of a stereotype than that, jive talking, fly, afro, you know,
good character, man.
Yeah, and the way he delivered his lines was so cool with it. So because even Han said, "Oh yeah, you." He said something about it. He complimented him at first. Said, "Yeah, you've got good style." Because I think Han wants to recruit some of these guys, and
he does.
He? So he's trying to compliment him and lead him on. But Williams stayed cool. He's like, "You're giving me compliments here. You're trying to soften me up." And he said something along the lines of, "Yeah, your style is good, simple." But Williams says, "But effective."
Yeah,
says, you know, and so there's a thing there where it's like there's a bit of ego going on between the two of them. And that's what I'm saying. So the dialogue is really good. So and then it leads to, well, what were you doing when you attacking my guards last night? He said, "Wasn't me." "Well, who was it then? You were the only one seen outside." He said, I was outside, but I wasn't the only one. "You will tell me who." And it's like, suddenly, Mr. Han, "I want to leave your island." Then Han pressed a little button to get the guards in. And he's like,
It is not possible."
Yeah.
Bullshit, Mr. Handman. Man.
Oh my days. You see?
Yeah, you come right out of a comic book.
Legendary.
That line was legendary. Good, man. You come right out of a
comic book. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, for God's sake.
Come on.
I will say, as someone who likes saying man a lot, I did like him when he called him the hand man.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I like that. But the problem is, right, is that I don't think there's a huge contrast between them, and I don't think there's a lot of tension in it. If you tell me, right, if you tell me that this scene is either an apology to Williams' actor because of the changes that went, so he gets his big scene, as it were, yeah, okay, I can accept it. Or if you tell me that in the same way that Bruce Lee is being introduced to an audience, this is whoever plays Williams is, you know, like this is him being introduced to an audience. I can accept that as well. But I thought that it was a little bit cartoony. I'm not saying it's not entertaining, but I don't think it should have. It is kind of kitsch and camp, and I don't think it should have the respect you're putting on it.
Camp and far from it.
Yeah,
that's
because you're talking about what he's dressed, how he's acting. You're talking about the aesthetics or something. And campness is when you find beauty in the outside, not the inside. And inside, the only thing interesting that is happening inside is Williams refusing to snitch on Bruce Lee when he obviously quite clearly should in this position. He's got no loyalties to Bruce Lee. And it shows what kind of a man he is, that he's sticking his neck out for someone he doesn't know. That is the only interesting thing.
He didn't know who was there. He didn't say, the conversation was like, well, you would tell me who else. And he didn't say, "I don't know who else, I didn't recognize them." All he said was, suddenly, "Mr. I want to leave your island. I mean, how dare you interrogate me like this? I wasn't the only one, you know? It doesn't mean I know."
Is that the interpretation that you've got from it? Is that
when Tyron said, "Look, it's a human fly," he's dressed in a black outfit. You know, you don't see his face. He's just to see his shadow. You don't know. I don't think Williams knew it was Bruce. I really don't think. He just said, "Well, human fly," and it didn't even think that was Bruce. Or later in the next day, catch eyes with Bruce as if to give him a wink, say, "Yeah, I know it was you." There was nothing, no indication of that. So him say he wasn't a snitch, just to say he didn't know. He said what he did say. He stood on ground to say, "Yeah, I was outside." He didn't say, "I wasn't outside." What are you talking about? He said, "Yeah, I was outside, but I wasn't the only one." That's where he messed up. Where he said, "I wasn't the only one." You know.
That's all right. If that's your interpretation, I have a different.
Sorry. Just because that means Han is thinking you're in cahoots with someone, you're working with someone. If by saying I'm not the only one, meaning, well, what's going on here? Have you got are you a collective with someone? Are you guys all got some organized thing going on here? That's where Williams messed up. He could have said, "Yeah, I was outside, I was just training." That's what I would have said. I was just training. I wouldn't even mentioned that there was someone else he's seen out there. You know, that's where I think it messed up a little bit for Williams, which led
It
to
messes up for Han as well, because
he was a bit too overconfident, Williams, wasn't he? Because obviously the actor before, obviously Jim Kelly wasn't even meant to be in it. Actually, they actually had someone else in mind, but he didn't turn up. Because I think Bruce Lee had someone else in mind, and he asked him last minute, "Do you want to be in this?" Because he knew that he was a middleweight karate champion. So he said, "Yeah, I'll do it." But
he should have mastered the art of fighting without fighting in that moment. And that is no, honestly, that's
yeah,
one of the things that disappoints me. And the other thing is that Han's trying to recruit him, like, for his drug business. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then there's a really silly bit here where he gets thrown into like an opium den full of like strung out girls. And once again, I think that this is an allegory for the opium wars. And I think that there's some stuff going on there that I didn't understand, but I found it all pretty cartoonish, to be honest. Not saying it's not entertaining. I like what Williams was doing and stuff, but this is his last scene.
When I was a kid watching it, obviously for the first time, I found his death quite disturbing. It was a horrible way for one of my heroes.
It's a waste.
I wanted him to be. Yeah, it was, because I wanted him to be in it until the end, but he isn't. Obviously.
Yeah, he should have gone back to teach
really
his
sad.
brothers in the dojo all this stuff that he learned. Like, he should go and enrich his community. Yeah. Like, what is the point of setting up his own sort of Shaolin monk family, contrasted with Bruce Lee's, and then he's like, just what, they've kind of put him on a kebab above some water. Like,
but you have to remember that Williams. I'm retiring on this. I was devastated that he died, and then seeing that image of him.
So am I.
Like that. And
he's
I think
my favourite.
See him lynched like that. That's like the black guy.
Oh, is that how you interpret it as a lynching?
Yeah, well, it's not. Why did you have to
later on? Yeah, later on.
Why would you have to put a black guy being lynched?
I didn't think of that. That's
no, but you know what though? I'm glad you've mentioned it, because it's obviously symbolism in Hollywood. It's basically them sending us a subliminal message.
There you go. You know, it's deep like that. But the reason
thank you for that.
The reason I think Williams lost the fight is because he said bullshit, Mr. Handman, which means he knows something's wrong with his hand. So when they're fighting, it's quite even, and it went against Williams when the bird cage got knocked. And then suddenly the bird's in his face, and that's the first hit he took, which made him unconscious in a way, and he wasn't the same fighter after that. And that's when he started.
Did you notice the symmetry?
Sorry?
Did you notice the symmetry of the bird cage?
What do you mean by that?
There's all these pretty birds drugged up in a prison around him, and then he gets hit by a literal bird in a cage.
Okay. I wouldn't think that, but yeah, I get that. I get that.
I thought it was really on the nose when they did that, because I thought maybe they were going for a canary in a coal mine or something when it first happened. But it's definitely to relate to all the girls that are around him. But I didn't see it as a lynching, but you're probably right. It probably is lynching, which is why I don't like what they did with Williams's character. He was the one that was the most interesting to me, and it's a real shame.
I think we can all agree on that one, actually.
Just to add as well, you know, like in wrestling, like WWE and all that kind of thing, when you want your hero to lose, you don't want him to get pinned 1, 2, 3, like in a fair fight. He loses by someone coming in, or he gets hit over the head with something when he's not looking, or some dodgy thing happens. That's how you get the fans think, all right, he only lost. He didn't lose fairly. So his aura's still there.
Yeah, this is like Man United fans saying it's always the ref.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it. Yeah.
So I can live with the fact that Williams only died because the bird went in his face, and he was handling everything before that, but then he got bird went in his face, and he got hit with the metal hand, and that after that he was out of it, and that was it, the end of the show. So I can live with that. Like when I'm seeing Hogan lose when he was champion, Hulk Hogan lost. But he didn't get pinned 1, 2, 3. He lost because he got salt in the eyes, or some green mist or something was sprayed him. You know what I'm saying? There's some sort of that's led to it.
Yeah, I understand. It's an unfair death, but it's still quite honourable.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I am changing my mind a little bit based off the things I said. I genuinely didn't. I didn't think of it as being sort of symbolic of a lynching, and I suspect once again that Tyrone, you were saying it might be for Hollywood audiences. I've got a feeling it might actually have been put in for sort of Chinese audiences because
Maybe, yeah.
I'm convinced that Super Hands is Chairman Mao. Like I think that's what he represents, and I think that, like, you know, his destruction of the peasants, the working class, the tiger fist things,
Yeah,
like the iron claw for the Great Leap
yeah,
Forward plan.
it's very
I
good,
think he's meant to be Chairman Mao, and that's something to do with opium, the
very
opium
good,
wars.
very good.
Do you like? I'm not allowed to check this, yeah, but we're not allowed to check before we do the review. It's got to be all our own work, so I will look at it instantly
No,
when we finish.
I didn't consider that before, and everything does relate. You know, the peasant. They've got the peasants locked up in the on the island, haven't they?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
annoyed me that they've got
Yes.
100 martial artist like pirates just locked up. But I agree that it is because I think that they're meant to be like the. Do you remember in the really cool place with all the boats? You basically just saw children and old men. I did wonder if they're meant to be their dads, and I was hoping we got a really cool scene of the boats coming with all the ninja pirates going back to their family. I thought that would be really cool. But it didn't happen. But we then get to one of my my favourite scenes, which is Johnny Cage and Super Hands in his Museum of Cruelty, which was wicked.
Should we let me just put a few
Yeah,
comments
sure.
up. I've got an interesting one here. It's Bilal. Can we have a special episode with Yabba discussing his favourite films?
What do you think this is? Like, Yabba loves this film. We haven't seen him on this channel, and then he's just burst in to shout at me about.
Can I just say, I think it's really like these sort of things are really good discussions, and I think you guys did a great job discussing all this kind of thing. I never really thought.
Thank you.
And I've seen this before, but like having film discussions and talking about it in depth. But this is really good. It's like it's mind blowing.
What does iron do, Yabba?
Sorry.
What does iron do?
Iron sharpens iron. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've got one more comment here. It's to you, Bath Time.
I don't know, Tully. I think so. I think that, like, so you have in like film, you have like symbolism, metaphor, and allegory. Symbolism is very simple things like in cowboy films, a black hat and a white hat means good or bad, or Star Wars, a red lightsaber and a green lightsaber. Metaphor is kind of, it's where something like represents something that is important to you. So, you know, like going from a man to a boy, you have to separate yourself from the father. Like that's kind of the process. You've got to go and be your own person. So Luke Skywalker literally killing his dad or fighting his dad is a metaphor for sort of growing up. An allegory is where something maps onto events from real life. So Animal Farm, where they all represent Lenin and Stalin, the pigs and things. You need to know the history behind it. Like in Aliens, not stormtroopers, the colonial marines are an allegory for Vietnam troops, you know, going off to fight a foe that is more dangerous than they thought and was simple. I think that Hans is an allegory for Chairman Mao, who, you know, like he was a communist leader who devastated the peasantry, and he pushed all these industrial reforms through and stuff like that. And I think that basically when you have a Shaolin monk fighting thing like that, I think that there's probably some history that it represents. But as I say, I haven't checked it. So when I say Super Hands is Chairman Mao, I think he's meant to stand in as he's meant to stand in as Chairman Mao. And I hope that that's clear.
Just to add to that as well, I think sometimes you could make a case. Could Hang actually be the good guy? You know, you might not realize, but you could make a case for that. It's a bit like you watch Batman with who's the old guy that trained Bane.
Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, Ra's al Ghul. Yeah. So
yeah,
he could be a good guy. He could be the League of
League of Shadows.
League of Shadows. They could be actually the good guys. Do you see what I'm saying? So we can't always sort of. I know what
he's drugging women and killing them.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is sometimes the enemy has a
motivation,
a motivation, and he's a rogue from something good, but maybe that something good is not as good. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you cast out, like say the devil was cast out from the heavens or whatever, or people were cast, the Batman guy was cast out, and they've created their own thing. Maybe they know something that we don't know, and you can always make a case to say why they could actually be the baby for the good guy. You know, so
I agree, Yabba, but
it's good to explore that, to say, is Han really a bad guy? What's led him to become this rogue sort of thing? And also, we know, obviously, with Chuck Norris movies and all these stereotypical movies, whoever's the bad guy, whether it's Iran at the time, whether it's Russia, look at James Bond and all these bad guys, they always stereotype these guys to the T. And I didn't see it before, but I do see what you're saying about Han and the allegory. What do you call him? What do you say? Allegory with the great Chinese leader.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is that Han, to me, he's clearly like, you're not meant to sympathize with him because his introduction is basically the same as Dracula. Like, he comes in with his brides, with his hair back and things like that. He's got Williams killed. He's got the security guards killed. And like, look, Yabba, we all want to kill our employees and we all want to make efficiency savings. But like, I know the point that you're making, which is that a good villain is actually the flip side of the hero. Yeah. And the difference normally is that the hero is about sacrifice, like Jesus, and the villain is about selfishness, like Lucifer. And that is the difference between Ra's al Ghul and Batman.
Yeah.
I've still got it.
Yeah, well done. You actually explain what I was trying to sort of explain. I struggled.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. I think it's a good point.
I think it's good to explore that. You can't just write him off as the bad guy. What's Han's story here?
Well,
we've been told something, but it leaves it open. So what's really going on? I'd love to know what Han was going.
This is the bit, right, that I was going to bolster your argument with. Is that heroes sacrifice? What is really interesting to me is it's very clear that Han has his own hand in his museum, which he's had to cut off sacrificially.
Yeah.
And this bit, this museum bit, I like because
it shows it. It shows his hand.
Well, I think the dialogue is really cool, but I mean, it is all a bit silly that you pull this guillotine, you go down some stairs, there's a secret compound. Fine. I mean, these things don't bother me. It's just James Bond stuff, really, isn't it? But what's really cool is where he says to Roper, I want you to understand who you're getting into business with, and then shows Williams. I think that's really good resolution because that clearly suggests that Han is not the good guy, Yabba, that he is the devil, as it were. But I'm generally more interested in Han's backstory than I am in pretty much anything else in the film, because like that sort of room of all those objects, I once again, I think a lot of it is allegorical. I think him chopping his hand off relates to something we don't know about in Chinese history. And then from going to that to a guillotine, I think is really, really cool. And asking the guy to put his head in the guillotine stuff. This is because but we earlier talked about when you first come to the island, there's a sort of temptation scene. It's like a feast of Bacchus or something. There's women, you can have them. Like food, you can have it. Right? He's offering you temptation. Here, what is his motivation with this? Is this an easy way out for Roper and his problems?
Selling your soul. You can join.
Yeah.
You've seen what I've had.
No. The bit with the guillotine. Like,
well,
what does that kind of represent?
It's about trust, isn't it? It's like, are you willing? You've seen what I've got. You've seen, I've displayed myself this man of, great riches and everything else, and women and everything else. And I've seen that you like that. But are you willing to put your head in there? Do you trust me? Just see how do you feel about me?
I disagree.
What do you think then? What?
I think it's about death and rebirth. I think that.
Explain.
All right. So I think the idea is that he can kill who he was, like a gambler, a flash guy, and that this is a kind of temptation. So here, you can destroy what you were, and then you can be reborn, but a corrupt rebirth. And it's quite important to Roper's character that he stays good, he stays childlike, he doesn't betray his friend. That's kind of how I saw it.
Tyrone, you dig that?
Yeah.
But do you know what would have made it better? If he had made a bet with him here. I bet you won't put your head on here for 200. That makes it better to me. But as I say, this is the only scene since they get to the island that I thought this is quality.
What did you think about the introduction of Han's daughters when he introduces his daughters to Roper? I thought that was quite cool.
More bright. You
see them flip him on. Yeah, they kind of flip him onto his back and take him by surprise. And it's the first time you see him look a bit shy as well. He doesn't really know what to say. He's like, "Oh my god!"
It's because he likes the madame, doesn't he? Is she dead at this point?
Yeah.
No, she dies at the end.
Yeah. Like another just little story that got lost in it. Like because I really wanted. I said earlier. I think it would have been really cool in the last fight if we had Big Chunks Bolo fighting Roper, and he's going to get Jane Eyeshadow out of this life of sin, and they've got Mei-Ling tied up on a cross, and the cross is on fire, and Bruce Lee is fighting Han in front of it. I think that would have been a really cool way to kind of resolve all these plot lines and stuff instead of the ninja pirates. You know, like, come on.
It's first time I'm hearing this, so it takes a lot. I'm quite happy with the way they went about it.
Fair enough. If you're happy with it, like, you know.
Because what is about this movie is really good is that they build characters and they die. You know, it's not walk off into the sunset and everything's all right. People that you've built a kind of feeling for in the movie have passed away and died. Even Miss Eyeshadow, we call her, she's dead. You know,
yeah, but it's gratuitous.
Williams is dead. Bolo, someone's like, oh my god! And I think we can get to that about how Bolo died, but it's like, you know,
it's gratuitous, because there's no resolution to it. You don't see how it affects anyone. The effect is with you, not with the characters.
Yeah, but when
it doesn't inform the story.
Eyeshadow dies, Roper, you see his face. He's like,
it's 1 minute,
a second. It's just one look. That's all you need. Is one little look to say that's how you feel about it. Like,
really? That's all right. Look, I'm not trying to change your mind. Do you know what? Do you know what I mean? Like, this isn't it's just. I want a bit more than that. Like, in terms of how I see a film, there's the outside world and there's the inside world. The outside world is like Bruce Lee saving the day and all that kind of stuff. And the inside world is him resolving the conflicts that he has that make him into a hero. And I'm not over the moon that he just starts as a hero and doesn't develop as a character. Good night, Tully.
Good night. Thank you for watching. Maybe you can catch up with the rest in the morning.
Right, what's next, Tyrone?
So after we get that scene, obviously he sees Williams, doesn't he? He sees Williams hung up. And
yeah.
Obviously that's a bit of a shocking scene because you realise that once he cuts the rope, he goes down into the acid, he's gone. And then, you know, Roper says to him, "You want me to join this organisation?" He's like, Han just basically says to him, "I want there to be a clear understanding between us. You know what you're getting into."
That's really cool, that bit.
And then, after we leave that bit, we get Bruce Lee going out again.
Yeah, another of his japes.
Yeah. And long story short, obviously he goes out, ends up taking the snake with him, which is pretty.
The snake's set there as a trap. So you try that again, you know.
Devil imagery.
He got bit. Yeah. He got bit by that snake.
He got what?
He actually got bit.
Oh, really?
He got bit by the snake during filming it. Really bad. Yeah. Oh, okay. Not in the film. Yeah. Obviously during the filming of it. Okay. So.
Well, it's interesting how he uses the snake against them. Like it's very silly like opening a door, chucking a snake in, and stuff like that. And then obviously the phone he uses sets all the alarms off. I mean, fine. I've got, you know, it's a film. Films don't have to make sense. That's not what you're looking for. But what I do really like this new interpretation that we have, that at this point Bruce Lee has kind of thrown away his monk training and is more heart than head. I think that this does recontextualize the film for me, but it's still a bit of planning. But I think it's quite a fun scene, like lobbing a snake into the surveillance room.
So let's just remind ourselves of Bruce's mission. What is actually his mission to do? Because he's gone back again, which is dangerous. To do what?
To get Mei Ling.
No, Mei Ling's the girl who's the agent who's on the island. He's not gone to get her.
He's gone to talk to her.
Yeah, but he can talk to her in a room.
She says that she's like locked up and she can't get to him and things. That's why he goes down originally, is looking for her. Because at this stage, he doesn't know about Williams, doesn't know about Roper. He's gone looking for her because they've got to get her off the island with the evidence to put Super Hands in jail.
No, but she's not locked up or anything. She's not drugged up or
she says they won't let her out, so she's down in that compound.
Yeah, but
I don't know. Yeah.
He was given to her as a.
No, I don't think he's looking for Mei Ling. I think basically his mission is to get evidence to the outside forces.
Exactly.
Like I'm going to get you the evidence. I'm going to give you the transmission, and then you send the guys in.
Yeah.
That's
okay. All right. Fair enough.
So that's what.
So obviously,
that's why he's gone down again. Because first time he's gone down, he's seen. There's the evidence. He's seen what's going on. He can prove.
Take a camera then. Make it obvious.
Yeah, it's a 70. Like 73.
Yeah.
And
did they not have cameras then?
He could have sketched it in his notebook or something. I don't know. But
I think what has to happen, they have to come in while they're all in the act of what's going on. I think that's
this is the third act, isn't it? This is like the climax, and the promise is here that you're going to see Bruce Lee taking on 300 people. Like, you know, that's kind of what you're expecting here, and I'm sure it delivers for you. It certainly does not for me.
What that fight
I was surprised when you said that.
Wow,
the fight scenes were amazing.
That's one of the best fight scenes ever.
Maybe if you're into technical fighting, but there's not storytelling in the fighting to me. Where have these nunchucks come from?
He took them off the guard.
Well, he took them off the guard.
Where is that concept come from before? This is his final fight. This is his big moment. And now we've got nunchucks. We haven't even seen the nunchucks before.
Yeah, but there's two versions of this film. I don't know which version you've seen. The full unedited one, you'll see how he got the nunchucks off the guard. Some of these
No. Yeah, but I'm not saying like he's pulled them out of his ass or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Right?
That's
not what I'm saying. I'm saying that in the climax of the film, by definition, everything has been building towards this. And he now brings out nunchucks. I don't think that that's earned for him to get the nunchucks out.
I think the nunchaku and the wooden stars, I think this is just a way to show you how Bruce Lee, who's a very skilled martial artist, is using the environment to help him.
No, it is Bruce Lee showing off, is what it's doing. It's a show reel for Bruce Lee here. And I've got no kind of issues with that, but there's no storytelling in the fight, right? There's not. All right, tell me.
Can I tell you the storytelling in the fight?
Yeah.
All right. Well, first of all, like Bilal saying, Jackie Chan was the first guy who came along and got his neck and like that. That was a great scene. But anyway, storytelling.
That was awful, Yabba. I love Jackie Chan and I recognised him and I didn't like it.
Well, I didn't know until like the 80s that was actually Jackie Chan.
Bilal told me Jackie Chan was
and we got Summer Hang was the first guy in the scene where he's wrestling.
Yeah. Yes.
That's Summer Hang from in the early scene. But yes, there is a storytelling in that because he's there. He's trapped. Imagine how you're going to feel. You're down there, and suddenly the alarm's gone off, and suddenly you got to fight for your life. So, and at the same time, keep composure. You got guards coming at you all angles, everything else. You don't know, where you're at, who's coming next, and it's deadly. So that's for one. That's why it's cool. That it's not just about using your fists. You have to use sticks because sticks coming at you. Take their weapon from them and use it against them. And then also, he got a hand from you know, they knew that the people, the peasants, or who the people in the black,
The pirates,
pirates, whatever. The story was we didn't know who they were, but suddenly they saw Bruce and they felt for him, and they, you know, held the guards who was strapped up against the cage and helped him and killed the guy, strangled him to death, something in support of Bruce. So that was a story.
Was it in support of Bruce, or was it because he's a guard that's imprisoned them?
Well, they could see that Bruce is obviously against the establishment, and these guys. That's why later, when they're released, they come and help the cause because they realize someone's here.
Another bit of Deus Ex Machina that I did not like.
There's also like out of all the pirates, there's also like an old one that you always see in every shot, and we don't see him at the end. You always
exactly. It doesn't do any fighting either. Like I've been ripped off with my old fighter, but but when I say there's no storytelling, when I think of the great fights, like and I will go back to like the Mask of Zorro in the 1930s. Each fighter represents something, and they're not just fighting physically, they're fighting for an idea. Like, so we'll use Star Wars because everyone's seen it. Like, you know, you're fighting for the light side of the Force and the dark side of the Force, and there's something more to the fight. And during the fight, a bit like Rocky or something, it tells a kind of story, and you get a bit of characterization. I'm not wildly impressed by super technical fighting because it's not filmatic, it's not interesting. You know, like if it's a real fight, it's over very quickly and stuff like that. It's not. It's
guards weren't lasting 5 minutes with him.
I understand. But what I'm saying is it's just a collection of really technically great kicks and punches and like nunchucker flourishes, then zoom in onto his albeit exceptional body and his eyes darting around. I don't think that there's any storytelling in the same way. I'll give you an example. When Neo in The Matrix fights Agent Smith, and you have that he's beginning to believe scene, there's more emotional weight behind it, and it's like it's representing different things. In this scene, all I see it as is a showcase for look how good it is, and that's why I'm not a huge fan.
But that's fine. I was about to say that about showcasing. That is fine.
Yeah. For you, okay, yeah. It doesn't land for me because I'm not interested in martial arts as like in it. But
I think me and Yabba, like, maybe we appreciate the fighting scenes more because for me, you know, martial arts isn't just fighting, it is an art form in itself. And I think you're just seeing that showcased in this film.
Were you disappointed? Because it's martial arts, right? A lot of it is about sort of control and philosophy and things like that. Are you at all disappointed that we only get kind of surface level explorations, or like it doesn't really sort of go into too much of that? Like we get stuff like him slapping the kid about at the start, saying always keep your eyes on your opponent. And I don't think there's really any payoff to that in the film. We get I do the art of fighting without fighting and stuff. Like I think that these are sort of cool lines and stuff. But in the last fight, like in all the sort of like climactic fights, none of that kind of gets used. And if you two are okay with it being a showcase of athletic prowess and things like that, I've got no issue with that. For me, I want story.
So the thing about
I know what you mean. I know what you're
keep your eyes on your opponent, don't bow, which means you can't trust anyone. He demonstrated that against Harm when Harm went for his foot and to flip him. He's not switched off. You know, always keep your eyes on your opponent. And, you know, when you bow, these are sort of lessons. So he's building up the Shaolin, because it's all about the Shaolin Temple and disgracing the Shaolin Temple at the end. So he's demonstrating the good side of Shaolin Temple, the teachings of the Shaolin Temple, and then you see the
but this is a different fight. Like I agree.
There's no, like you said about the boy. There's no.
So I agree with you that the Han fight is slightly different, but in this fight, like Han is from his temple.
Okay, this fight, I'm not gonna. We can't just like ignore it. This is 1973, and you're showcasing ability to fight against several guards in a situation like that. It's one of the best fight scenes, in my opinion, on screen ever.
Right, in your opinion, Yabba, like with this style of sort of technical showcasing, which legitimate, fine. Is this the kind of best example of it, or are there scenes like maybe in the 90s or 2000s or something where they surpassed this, or is this the peak of what a
records get
man
broken.
can do?
Wherever you are, players get better. People will evolve, don't they? There has to be a standard bearer. Prior to this, I grew up on kung fu movies. There'd be ridiculous stuff going on in some movies, which were unrealistic. And Bruce Lee, the actual actor, or whoever he claims to be, wanted to come away from it. My Wing Chun is about effectiveness, about the art of the exploding fist, the way of exploding fist, to take people out early and to make it more realistic. So when he brought that to Hollywood, there's going to be flying around and all these flip kicks and all this kind of and silly it's none of that. He wants to make it more realistic. And I think that fight scene for that time made it. That was the benchmark to say, look, he's taking none of these guards are lasting seconds with him because he's in there. He's not going into some stupid fight with them. He's actually, like Roper, taking them out and showing ways to take people out early.
Right. Okay. So
that it was amazing for its time. And
can I compare this to
as a showcase of what Bruce can deliver on screen? It was amazing.
Yeah, but very simply, can I compare this to the same feeling that I get watching footage of Maradona?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. That's like in terms of you can make all these excuses about pitches and fitness and stuff, but what you're seeing is the greatest standard of something up until that moment, something you haven't seen before. Yeah, and this is why I don't think the film affects me as much as it does you two, because I'm not like I like boxing and things, but I'm not really interested in I'm not saying it's rubbish at all. It just doesn't grab me. And I think this is why we have this difference here, is that I'm looking at it from what I want from a film. And you two are going, this is fucking amazing, isn't it? Look at that, the height he's getting and things. Do you know what I mean? I think that's where our disagreement is. But I'm really pleased that you two love this so much, because it's obviously a beloved film.
And you remember, the guards are not jackasses. You see them training. They're there to train, so they're all skilled guys. So that puts Bruce even more. To actually, you'd think it wouldn't last long. Oh my God, he's going to die now. But no, he survives long enough, and then obviously gets trapped in the tunnel when Hang sort of stops him. But then what he does there is brilliant as well. From you think he'd be out of breath, tiring, but he just said, "Right, let me conserve my energy." Just thinks cool, no problem.
Just rest, because he knows he can't go anywhere. He knows he can't escape at that point. He doesn't even get scared. He just sits down, puts the nunchaku behind his neck, and just waits for what's going to happen.
Have you seen Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace?
Yeah.
You know when what's this man? The man out of The Naked Gun.
Leslie Nielsen.
No, the other one, the new one.
What, Ewan McGregor?
He's John Taken. He's in Taken. Liam Neeson. Ra's al Ghul.
Liam Neeson. Yeah.
He's not Naked Gun. Oh yeah, same name, isn't it?
The new one.
It's Leslie Nielsen and
he's dead.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just thinking, Michael Liam Neeson, Leslie Nielsen, and he's doing The Naked Gun now, isn't he?
Yeah. But he does something very similar, where before he fights the devil with a lightsaber, he sits down and meditates. And when I watched it, I thought that is a definite homage to it, because George Lucas is one of those guys that steals stuff from like Quentin Tarantino. I thought that was. I also agree that was quite cool, but it does slightly cut into the argument that you both made about how he's kind of lost his way. And he needs to get it back when he fights Super Hands, because here he's actually going back to his training. So I might take, if I was editing it, I might take that out, that bit there, because I think it cuts into the argument that both of you made.
Okay.
I think it was great. I don't think you should edit that out. They did edit that whole scene. They cut a lot of stuff out, and maybe due to British not being able to have nunchucks. There was when we were growing up, it was they took out the nunchucks.
Yeah, turtles, in it,
because they didn't want kids to be using nunchuck at the time. But
now you can't buy a kitchen knife without an ID, which is mandatory ID. Cheers, Keir Starmer.
Yeah.
Bloody super hands.
Then so after we end that scene, we come to the final showdown where they're all back in the pit, basically ready to fight again, and Bolo stood there.
Hang on, is that before his fight with Han?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's before. Yeah.
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 What did you think? I called it in my head. I called it the swimming pool fight. It was just a big brawl, like in a swimming pool.
Well, you have to set it up. I mean, set up is really good because obviously we talk about characters, and we've got Bolo, we've got Bruce, and we've got Roper. And it looked at one point that Bruce was going to go and step up to take on Bolo to protect Roper.
Yeah.
But Roper, which I was gutted about, I wanted to see Bruce and Bolo. But Roper,
that's what I wanted to see. Yeah.
Roper's like, nah, I've got this. And I thought, Roper, you're crazy. You're going to get, But it shows how what big balls Roper had. Because obviously he's seen Williams, his best mate. Now imagine how he's feeling at this point.
He's got the anger.
Yeah, so my gosh, he's realised what this is all about, how deep in shit they are, and he's going to go out. That shows a hero for me. He's willing to take the baddest guy on, and to represent for Williams.
He's not messing about anymore. There's no more grinning with him. There's no more joking about.
That's why I think it's a better fight than Bruce Lee with the guards, because there's storytelling in it. He's fighting for something else. And so I agree with you. I like the Bolo fight, and I wish it had gone on a bit longer. If
you're making the film Bathtime, why wouldn't you? When Bruce has stepped up, so Bruce has shown, I'm not afraid, I'll take Bolo on. And at that point, if you're watching it for the first time, you think, whoa, it's on, this is going to be it. But then Roper stops him. So I'm asking both of you, with making good film, was that the right decision to let Roper fight him rather than Bruce?
Yes, because Bruce's main fight has to be with super hands. Like, that's the culmination of what it's about, is like Monk versus Monk. He's the target that he's done. Like, we've established not only that Bruce Lee is a badass, but we've established that Super Hands is a badass, right? He's got to go down. That is the main conflict. And Roper, I actually think that Bolo should have been the one to kill Williams. And then you can see, do you see what I mean? Then it kind of makes a bit more sense that this is Roper's fight. A man he served with in the war, like a man who he was a partner with.
Yeah, but I think the reason why Bolo wasn't the man to beat Williams is because he wouldn't have beaten Williams. The only one who could actually beat Williams is the man who challenges Bruce.
Yeah, but he could have cheated or something. Like, maybe. Like there were ways of getting Williams killed by Bolo, or Bolo could have desecrated his corpse, or like there are loads of different things. But the main event when you're watching it is Super Hands versus Bruce Lee. Like this should be Bolo versus Roper should be like a secondary fight. Like I'll give you Star Wars again. Like the main event is Luke Skywalker fighting Darth Vader, and the side dish is whatever those things were, the Ewoks, like, and Harrison Ford all having a fight. It's got stakes. It's just not as big. And I think that Roper should have been like leading all of the guys, ex-army man. He should have been leading the pirates and all of that against the other people to avenge Williams, whilst the sort of big biblical battle is going on between Super Hands and Bruce Lee. I would have found that a bit more satisfying.
Yeah, but we're missing. Let's talk about the fight between Roper and Bolo. Okay. I think that's interesting.
Why?
He has to cheat a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, because it shows
he has to actually cheat.
There you go. So it shows that it was a bit unbalanced at one point because Bolo showed his power, and one clap from Bolo, because he started boxing, and Bolo was just like, and then one clap back from Bolo, and he's on the floor. So it shows you, I'm lacking strength. This guy can really hurt me. And he had to bite him when he got him in a leg lock sort of thing to get
that was funny,
an advantage, And then, but it's the Bolo. You could see even with the kung fu noises, you can see when Roper hits you, it's like real
solid,
proper. But the way he killed him with the kicks to the belly, and he tumbled over, it's like, oh my god! I was kind of shocked by that. I was kind of.
I thought that was an unsatisfying. To be honest, like it's not completely perfect. I love the film, But I thought the way Bolo went out, it wasn't big enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could have been because they're basically saying he's dead from kicks to the stomach.
Yeah. Oh, it was the balls. He's kicked him in the balls.
Was it?
Yeah, man, he's Johnny Cage.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I like the fact that Roper cheated.
Reaction when he realised Bolo's dead. He's like from being composed and all times very composed. You saw the change in the character of Han from always being in control because it's his island, he controls everything. Suddenly, his right-hand man or his top guy is being beaten, and it's like then he loses it. The first time you see an outrage, he's like gone. He's gone. Head's gone now, and it's like wow. This is the first time Han's actually a little bit out of control now.
Start speaking his own language as well. He doesn't speak English anymore.
Yeah, well, he's naming the guards to go, but why is he naming guards? He just said everybody, just rush through. But it's such a good scene to get them all fighting like that. But yeah.
Shout out to Lalo Schifrin for the soundtrack. He was brilliant. The composer who composed.
I've got the album here. It's brilliant.
I like the funky track they play when Williams is in the opium den fighting. Like I like that one. I just found the pirates a bit unsatisfying as well. I think it would have been much cooler if at the start of the film, Confucius, when he's talking about like Han being the traitor and things, if either those pirates were ex-students that redeemed themselves by going to fight for the right side, or if there was a subplot about how this is the third tournament he's run and no one's ever come back and he's just keeping them or something. When you kind of have this Deus Ex Machina of like all these people who have been locked up for 6 months or whatever, and it sounds like realism's quite important to you in this film, Yabba. Like to have them come out and fight people who you assume have been on a camp for 6 weeks to peak for this moment and start smacking them around. I thought when that happened, to be honest, I think set that up and it'll mean something.
Yeah, but
as opposed to
like
we just having a scrap.
When you like a caged animal and you suddenly get released and you a bit of freedom, you've got this energy and snap and thing to get your aggression. Even though they were kicking ass, but it wasn't.
Do you believe what you're saying?
Yeah, because the prison.
You think right? So you're in that situation. You're being freed, and the first thing you do is go and sort of participate in a karate tournament instead of trying to get off the island.
No, but let's remember who released the prisoners. Remember this?
It was Bruce.
No, it was Mei Ling.
Oh, Mei Ling, sorry. Yeah.
So Mei Ling, I don't know if they've had some sort of. This is what I'm saying about Bruce. Must have had.
She sneaks out.
All right. Yeah. Exactly. That is a much cooler resolution, right? If we found out Mei Ling had been telling them to get ready because I'm going to let you out, and you go.
Yes.
That's a much better way of doing it then. And that's what I mean about.
That's the right time to do it because if Mei Ling would have done it prior to that and things had gone pear-shaped, she'd dead. You know, she would have got killed for that. So she's done it at the right time, and she must have had some sort of communication.
Imagine, but if she said to them, like, "I need you to fight, but not yet, because we're going to win this fight by not fighting till the right moment." And if she had got that, if Bruce Lee had said that to her at one point, and then she imparted that knowledge, it's more satisfying.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah,
and it also works into the fact that the guards took their eyes off their opponents, who they'd locked up and didn't worry about them. You see, it could be so much better, this film.
But it's good because then it leaves it open to Mei Ling suddenly come out with the keys and you see she's letting them out. Then you think, so maybe we've missed conversations, or we just assume that Bruce and Mei Ling had more dialogue about what the plan.
Yeah, am I right in thinking that loads of scenes have been cut from the original?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's good because it leaves it to without having a whole scene where they're talking about, right, you're going to do this in a minute. You just see him turning up with the key, her turning up with the key, and then the audience know, she's,
You think that's show not tell there?
Sorry,
I don't think that's There's an expression called show something, don't tell it.
Yeah.
Like, so don't tell me, show me. Like actions over character, like actions over words. I think that it should have been done earlier. to be honest. Like, I think that the first act in this film sets up a really, really interesting, cool film with loads of cool ideas going on, and it just gets progressively messier as it goes along. And I think that's why I find it so unsatisfying, because with a couple of changes, I think it's a top quality film.
I think you can't have revealed too much. Everything is revealed after the movie. When the credits are going, you're thinking about it. You've taken in so much, action and everything at the end of the film, and then you're suddenly thinking about it, that's how. That's where the guards fight, and this is why it all comes together. You piece it together.
It doesn't for me. It doesn't. It's. I feel that they laid the foundations for a cathedral and built a shed.
That's harsh. It's really harsh for one of my favorite movies. All
right, I apologise. They built a very nice.
I know
semi-detached.
I think you have throughout this show. You've given it a lot of credit.
Yeah,
you really have.
I'm not saying it's a bad film at all.
I know you're not. But calling it a shed rather than cathedral.
All right. Well, I was being humorous. I'm sorry.
I know. But I think you are giving it ratings. You do admire some of the
aspect. I just think it could. I think it could be better. And the thing is that you do have to take into account this is made in the 70s, and like Phil, even the difference in the 70s and the 80s, films became much more competent in how they told stories, and structures were better understood, and so on. And this is a kind of bastard of American and Chinese, and so things are going to misalign.
I have to disagree with you there. I think
fair enough.
Filmmaking, if you go back, I mean, I watch a lot of black and white films from the early days, and the filmmaker, because they didn't have so much CGI or the acting has to be good, and the storytelling has to be good, and the whole the whole plot has to be good for you to get it. So some of the greatest movies you've seen, like Sunset Boulevard, for example, you've seen that Sunset Boulevard. Fantastic movie, and it's just 2 or 3 characters in the whole movie, but it's thrilling. It's suspense. It's just from the acting. The plot,
I agree.
You still don't understand. So, regardless of it being in the 70s, Enter the Dragon, I still think movies came along later in the 80s. We might have had better studios and cameras. And,
but I'm talking about the structure of the story, which is much better understood in the 80s. So. But I'm not saying that films were bad before a certain point. Like, we're going to be watching a lot of old films on this channel. We've got to watch 12 Angry Men. We've got to watch 7 Samurai. We've got to watch The Searchers. We've got to watch, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, I think might be on the list. Like, there's films are pretty, like Citizen Kane is a wicked film. Casablanca's a wicked film. But the thing is that these were made by kind of geniuses and stuff. This film was made by like stunt guys and things like that, and they didn't have access to the resources and the education that we have now that kind of makes a film feel smoother and has setup and stuff like that. And so when you get someone like James Cameron in the 80s and you see him making things like The Terminator, which is basically just a retelling of the Minotaur, and then Aliens and things like that, they're kind of B movies. But because we kind of studied and understood and built on things like Enter the Dragon, it's a more rewarding. It feels like it's a more satisfactory working of it. So if they made this today, or they'd made it in the 90s or the 80s or whatever, I think a lot of my issues with the film would have been smoothed over.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making. I'm not saying all films before the Terminator was shit. That is not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah. All right.
So then, obviously, after the fight with Roper and Roper and Bowler, we come to the climactic fight with Bruce Lee and Han towards the end, which obviously starts off outside but ends up inside his fortress. Which it was a good fight. I think I always thought to myself watching it, I thought, oh, maybe the villain could have been a bit better, but it didn't really take anything from the film for me.
Is he a ninja, like the actor who plays Super Hans or anything like that?
The guy who played Hans is an actual martial artist.
Okay.
Yeah, he was an actual martial artist. Respected person.
I felt it was very unfair to put a 50-year-old man up against prime Bruce Lee. to be
but
honest.
balanced out with not, because sometimes with these films you get the traditional thing with Chinese kung fu films is the old guy, is the wise guy,
Yeah.
the most powerful, and no matter how old you might be,
Oh, okay.
the knowledge. So with that wisdom and thing, that's how it's seen. So it's not about muscles and things like that or youth, experience.
It's just his
And
speed
wisdom.
and things.
Yeah,
Like,
but he's got the hand. That I think that gave
I
you
did,
a bit of
yeah.
balance with the age factor that you're looking at. Yeah.
It's like, for me, I found this fight. I understand. I get it. I found it a little bit frustrating because I wanted to see peak Bruce Lee, and peak Bruce Lee isn't smashing up the mirrored wall and JD Sports. Like, I get it. I understand the storytelling and all these different things and stuff, but I really wanted to see him kind of unleashed. But even though that guy's a proper ninja and stuff, he's 50 or 60 and he can't go up, like, just on a practical level, he can't go up against. How old is Bruce Lee in this film? Is that 20 or something? 25?
No, 30, 32.
30, yeah.
Wow. But I mean, you can't go up against a guy like that and make it realistic. So I think with the hooks, they did a good job and stuff, but I really wanted, like, Bruce Lee unleashed here. And I know you can't get it, but that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, but I think he did, because what it is, it's the first time in the movie that Bruce has got a challenge,
Yeah, he gets touched in it, like, with some terrible
he gets
makeup.
touched, but because obviously he got the hand. We've seen what the hand did to William, so you think, oh God, how's he going to do that? Then he changed his hand for a claw thing, which he took out a few of the blacks.
Other way around.
Black suits.
He starts off with a tiger claw and then goes.
Yeah, the tiger claw. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Initially, you see what he did.
Yeah.
To a few of the guard, prisoners.
The guard's face, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he hits the guard before he fights.
So that was like, oh God, that's dangerous, and that's better thing. And then obviously once he goes into the studio, he gets the big claw thing, and you're thinking, this will even it up now. And what made it but initially, the claw thing did help him out because they had a few exchanges, and Bruce got cut. And even when Bruce, so we've seen Bruce and O'Hara trade up, and Bruce was able to deal with him. But in these exchanges, Han has shown a little something, and they're thinking, because initially Bruce was dealing with him with speed, but Han came back into the fight and started to cut him up. And then you're thinking, okay, there's a bit of even thing here. Han is obviously a good fighter, experienced, and can adapt. And then he's got the advantage of having that weapon with him as well.
What I would have liked is longer takes, like, Street Fighter, like the computer game.
Yeah.
It's kind of like 2D. Like, I would have liked to have seen a longer scene where they're in that same kind of shot with Bruce dodging most of the tiger swipes, and you see the raw aggression and terrifyingness of Han longer, rather than the quick cuts and then back onto Bruce Lee's body. And that might just be style, like, of the time or the expectation. But when I was watching it, I felt it was a bit too kind of stop-start, and I wanted to see fluidity in the fight. The boot in the mirror stuff, it makes sense, and it's just, I don't know. I wasn't expecting them to be doing the bloody, like, haunted mirror funhouse fight at the end. Do you know what I mean? It was a little bit too much for me.
Yeah, but then it relates to, because what got him through that fight, I don't know if it was the version you saw, is that he had a flashback of the words about how to.
Yeah, of course.
The enemy hides behind illusions. If you want to defeat the enemy, you have to crush the illusion. And that's when he thought, let me break these mirrors, because I'm in trouble here. I'm in an arena I'm not familiar with. He's got an advantage.
I found that quite funny, because it's obviously meant as a metaphor, but Bruce Lee takes it literally, which made me laugh when I saw it. But it's I understand it. It's good, but I don't know. For my final fight, I wanted a little bit more. I'm not criticizing it, because I think it works in context. That you're completely correct that he's told something at the beginning that he doesn't really understand, and then he realizes it because of the experiences he's been on and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been cooler if he'd had a bit of fear of Han, and then so it's not literal. It's a metaphor that he has to understand that Han isn't the devil and super powerful. He's a weak man and he's run out of time.
Well, he was weak because he ran into that room. He was trying to get away from Bruce, and Han was trying to get himself in a situation where he could be a bit more balanced here because he was getting dealt with outside. So he thought, I'm going to use my smarts here, take him into there where I've got a bit of an advantage here.
He's a fractured man, Yabba. That's whenever there's mirrors involved, it's about a fractured personality, and Bruce, he isn't fractured. Like, he stayed true to the Shaolin style, whereas the devil Han hasn't here, and this is his undoing. He's built. It's like the Emperor's New Clothes. He's built this fractured image around him, and it is quite funny to combine that with that metaphor with literally booting mirrors in. I did laugh a lot.
And, you know, as you know what I'm like, but, you know, with that term about, you mentioned some Greek philosopher or something, but about the thing about the enemy hides behind illusions. And that stands today. This is how
it does.
We see in the world stage today. We're seeing so many things happen, people getting shot.
We'll save that for backstage, Yabba.
Yeah, I know, but you're seeing a lot of stuff happening in the world, and it makes you think, if you crush those illusions, then you're not affected by it. Do you understand what I'm saying? These are the things. That's how you defeat the enemy. It's like they always say, because the film's called Enter the Dragon. The dragon is mentioned as the serpent or the devil.
Oh God!
Yes, so you are entering an island.
Oh, I see. Okay, because I thought Enter the Dragon referred to Bruce Lee as the dragon, and he was coming in to save it. But you're taking a more biblical.
Well, that's what I thought, because he was born in the year of the dragon, wasn't he? So I thought it was Enter Bruce Lee.
Yeah, like it's a cool title. It's got nothing. I mean, I remember thinking, just give him the code name Dragon, like when he's talking to Basil Exposition, the British guy.
Basil.
Okay.
We think he represents Hong Kong, Yabba, that he's symbolic of Hong Kong, British control, but with no power.
Very good. And a good scene as well was when he finally got through, when he went down to the basement and got through, and then
the ride with Valkyries,
and then he got the phone call in the morning. What do you mean? He woke up from bed.
Oh yeah.
I forget the guy's name. He said, "What do you mean? Oh God, what do you mean he's just come through? Why didn't you tell me? All right, let's get him through. You know, let's start."
You bloody well put him on the line.
Yeah.
It's
wicked. I forget what's the name.
That posh,
that was so dope. But then
it was good.
And then at the end of the movie,
came in half an hour
you're
ago.
seeing all the helicopters and the troops coming in. And
weird decision, that
the battle scene, and people, dead bodies, and people still, you know, some of the white guys, suit guys getting thrown around and bullied and everything. So it was an absolute mess right at the end. It was just a everywhere.
Order has gone from what you see at the start. I felt that they overshot their hand with the helicopters, because they quite clearly wanted to do more with that, but I think they overspent their budget. So they had 3 helicopters for a day and then had to give them back. But it was really cool when they were coming over, and it almost in some ways felt like the end of an era. Like, you know, the idea that this is the military coming in, and this is kind of the death of karate as a valid way of kind of fighting wars and things. Like, I wondered if it was meant to be Vietnamese imagery, because obviously that was a battle about communism, and it was, you know, the Americans with their things and China being a communist place, and also the last shot of being on that claw. We've got to find out what it represents. My thinking is it's Mao's The Great Leap Forward, where they went agricultural. Like everyone had to grow stuff to expand the country, like the nature.
You mean last visual with the claw dug into the thing?
Yeah. So Mao has 2 claws. Like Hans has 2 claws, right? Yeah. There's a metal one and he has a wooden one that's a tiger claw.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about how I think he might represent General Mao.
Yeah.
General Mao had 2 massive policies. One was called the 5-year plan, and one was called the Great Leap Forward. Do you know this?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so that's why I think that the tiger claw is probably the 5-year plan.
Why? I don't get why.
Okay, so the 5-year plan was about.
No. But yeah, I know what it's about. But what do you mean the tiger? I don't see how the significance of the tiger claw.
Right. So those are the two things he has: the metal one, the Great Leap Forward, which was the industrialization of China, and its effects on people, where they're getting cut up at where it ravaged the peasantry and stuff like that. And I think that the tiger claw represented the Great Leap Forward, where the peasants got done up because the land was taken and they had to grow things and so on. And then you have this image of the sort of Americans coming in to sweep out communism, and it finishes on that tiger claw. And there's got to be some kind of allegorical meaning for it. And so my guess is that it's some sort of quite superficial commentary on the communist policies of farming in China.
Interesting. You know what?
It was a good shot though. I like that.
Yeah, me too. I didn't think of it like that. It's nice having good insight, like different people discussing this, because I could discuss this with my brother or someone else. But seeing you guys watch the movie, and I'm in cahoots with Tyrone a lot of stuff. We agree with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
How we feel.
Yeah.
But your insight as well, Bathtime, is different. Obviously, you've got different background to the movie and how you feel about kung fu flicks and that kind of thing. So it's really interesting, especially when you incorporate all this political stuff as well that I didn't really consider so much, But what a great movie. And I would score that movie, like even after we've sort of gone through it today, I'm still score it like a 9.5 out of 10. And I'm quite critical of a lot of movies, and I think it's one of the best movies that you could watch.
What did you give Prometheus?
Sorry?
What did you give Prometheus?
Probably a 7, which is good score for me.
Okay.
Good movie, yeah.
All right. It's just I don't like Prometheus, Tyrone, and I've had arguments with Yabba about this for like 3 years. I'm going to give this movie. I've actually bumped it up. After talking to you two, I'm going to give it a 6, which is above average. I think that it's. I think it's a good. It's good. It could be a lot better. I just find aspects of it incredibly frustrating because, as I say, I'm interested in the internal conflict of the characters, combining with the internal conflict with the external conflict of the world. And I don't think that it's done well enough to be a kind of mythological biblical story. And those are the ones that grip me the most. That's what Lord of the Rings is and things. So I'm not shitting on it. I understand why people like it. It's just a 6 for me personally.
I think that you'd appreciate Way of the Dragon more, especially because of the fight scene with Chuck Norris.
All right, I'll add it to the list, but a long way down the list.
Yeah, no problem. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 just because I've always loved Bruce Lee. And yeah, it was a great film for me. That's all I'm going to say.
But I think there's more to it than just the showcasing fight scenes. There's more philosophy and mysticism and hidden agendas and things like that in the film to make it.
And he's the pioneer.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee's like the pioneer who basically transformed the genre.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of the people that do kung fu films now have learned from the master, it was him.
Yeah, you can't. You got to give it to him that he's in my opinion, he's the first guy that did this. And I'm not trying to be controversial here. I much prefer Jackie Chan to Bruce Lee because I think that Jackie Chan's clowning style tells better stories and things. Even if it's like trying to keep a Ming vase from breaking or something like that, I think it's better for me. But the original guy is everything comes from these people, and you need to give them their respect. Like what you have now, you don't get without people like Laurence Olivier, with people like Bruce Lee, with Sigourney Weaver in Aliens and things like that. Like whatever you think, you have to give respect to the forefathers, the ancestors that came, that allow you to enjoy what you get now. And so, do you know what? I'll give it a 7 based on that.
You've upped your score. That's good.
Before I spoke to you two, I was going to give it 5, as in just an average film. But I've been convinced by a lot of your arguments, and you've sorted a few things out for me.
Wow, really good. So, have you guys watched it recently to do the show?
Yeah, I watched it on Friday.
And Tyrone, you've probably seen it. Did you need to watch it?
I've seen it too many
Yeah,
times, so I
same,
didn't need to watch it again. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I've watched it way too many times.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, can you see what I've put in the thingy? It's our next film. Like, if you look, you see where the guests are. There should be another one there.
Okay, 1 second.
We're learning Yabba how to use StreamYard. It's very ironic in some ways. This is our next film. This is a cult film called Bubba Hotep. It is a comedy horror film, and it will be starting our Halloween lineup. A very, very basic rundown of the plot is that Bruce Campbell plays actual Elvis, who didn't die and has ended up in an old people's home, which is being stalked by a mummy.
Wow.
And he has to end up fighting the mummy. That's all you're going to get. It's a film that I love. It's a cult film. I hope you enjoy it.
What year?
2001.
Okay. Wow.
And that will be what we're discussing next week.
Wow.
I'm looking forward to that.
Can I watch it then? And
do you want to come on next week?
Yeah, I'd like to watch it.
Well, we can't stop you watching a film, Yabba. But do you want to watch a film and then come speak to us about
what I'm saying is I'd like to watch it and then watch your show. Or
of course.
Yeah. Just
you can come on if you want.
Yeah, I didn't want to sing, but when you're talking Enter the Dragon, it's like, wow, I felt...
The second I saw you tweet me at 4:30 in the morning about Enter the Dragon, I said to Tyrone, like, I can guarantee that Yabba is going to turn up in the comments or the live chat to shout at me about this.
Yeah, well, I think it's a good thing you're doing. I really like, because you can go in depth. We've spoken for like 3 hours.
And an exciting development for anyone who's been watching for a while is that we are commencing filming relatively soon, aren't we, Tyrone? Probably next week.
Have you got short in the thing now?
Yes. Yeah. So hopefully in the next sort of 6 weeks or so, we'll be able to show you what we've made, and you can rip it apart with all the.
What sort of genre is it? What kind of comedy?
It's until it's ready. Nothing. Like, I'll tell you backstage what it is, but until it's ready.
That's exciting, man. Because I remember you talking about that before and coming up with ideas. But that's dope.
Well, this is kind of what it is. Is that like I'm like, let's pretend I'm a writer because I like stories and things.
Yeah.
I'm not though, but like I do the script, and Tyrone obviously is an actor. So we thought that to kind of get better at what we do, we would discuss films where Tyrone would talk about the physical performance, what the actor's trying to say, maybe how he would do it different, and I would talk about the kind of more the story elements, which is why I'm talking about internal conflicts and metaphors and stuff like that. And we're hoping that by doing these things in conjunction with our film work, that we'll kind of like, we'll grow and we'll get better at what we're doing, because no one's going to give it to you on a plate. You have to go and do it yourself.
Exactly.
So that's what it is.
That's exciting. That's really good. I'm really interested to hear backstage what this is all about. But yeah, good stuff, guys. Good stuff.
If you can find the time in the next one, I'll write you a part.
I'm not an actor. I'm not.
Anyway, I'll do my best to teach you, Yabba. You don't. It's not rocket science. You'll be able to do it.
Oh, we could have Educating Yabba, like a documentary where like Tyrone teaches Yabba how to do Shakespeare.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
You've already got the presence. You've already got the resonance. You don't need
you can play perfect.
Yeah. Bullshit, Mr. Hand, man.
Yeah. But I tell you what, Yabba, like we'll end the show now. But what would be quite cool, Tyrone, is if we got a cameo from Yabba, like just in the background or something in the one we're doing. That would be quite fun.
We can do that. We can do that. No problem.
Oh dear, brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Great stuff.
But yeah. I just want to say thanks to obviously the few people that came in and watched with us and contributed with comments, and I just want to thank you, Yabba, as well, for coming and joining me and Bathtime, because it's nice to have someone who enjoyed the film as much as I did.
It's a great project. I think it's good to talk about these things.
Yeah,
it's really stimulating the way like you have a good in-depth conversation about something, and so many things come up about the movie that you just think, oh wow, you know, years later, this is what. So if you were with the project you're doing, you want people viewing that to have the same kind of reaction, because when they do films, well, sometimes I go to the South Bank and they do like reviews of old films, and the cast will get up there and talk about the film. And it shows you it's not just about filming something. There's so much more into it. I realized over all these years, there's so much more into filmmaking than we know. Like writing a book, you get engrossed by someone with the way it's written, or the concept or whatever behind the story. So storytelling is the best. It's been from day one. This is what we've always done.
It's the most important part of being a human. It's how you learn stories. And you'll like this, Yabba. We've also brought up the concept of the metaphorical substrate a few times, which is the idea that that human thinking is influenced by metaphors. And in the West, in like sort of like Judeo-Christian Christian countries, everything boils down to father, mother, son.
Yeah.
And I was like, now you know that, I'll bring that up next time. But I was going to bring that up in this, where you have like the father and the son conflict happens quite a lot in Enter the Dragon. Like there's different ways it's done, and I enjoyed that.
That's so true.
And also, it would be great if next time you're on, that you don't come in halfway through and then reiterate all the points that we
right. All right, that's a wrap. Cut. Action. What is it? Is there any kind of ending sort of wording or something you guys?
Yeah, I go, have you cut us yet? And Tyrone goes, I think so. Yeah, I have. And that's how it ends.
Thank